Okay, so I'm not going to go, well, I'm going to quickly go over this README here and then we'll dive in. But so you guys yesterday on Thursday deployed the Poly app, right, with Julius? Did you guys deploy it or did you guys just run it locally?
locally.
Locally, okay. All right, that's what I thought. All right, so today is all about getting things launched in AWS. And then on top of that, we're just going to add on a lot of the kind of more advanced tooling that you would get when you launch services to AWS. And so we're going to start out pretty simple. Actually, all this stuff is fairly straightforward. The concepts really, I'm gonna briefly go over this, and I'm just gonna try to say in layman's terms like what this stuff means. Um, but what we're going to do today is we're going to be relying heavily on Docker. But where you guys were just building those Docker images locally and spinning up Docker containers locally, we're going to take that image and we're going to push it to Docker Hub. So some of you, I'm sure, have some Docker Hub accounts. The rest of you, you're going to need to sign up for Docker Hub. There's links in here to that. And Docker Hub is just a lot. It's a repository. It's basically actually it's an artifactory, but you don't have to. Just look at it as kind of like GitHub. But instead of storing files, you're just storing images, Docker Hub images, which are called artifacts, build artifacts. And so we're going to be relying heavily on Docker Hub for that because we're going to be using resources in AWS to automatically spin up your application and then using that image, which that's ECS. And we'll talk about that. And then there's another cool thing that we'll be doing is using launch templates where you guys have I know you guys have manually launched your own EC2 servers. So what we're going to do is you're going to do that, but it's going to be with a launch template and it's going to spin up, run some commands. It's going to pick all of the things that you want for you. So you don't have to go through each time and click like I need this size instance and this operating system. It's all in your template. And there's a really cool thing that we can do with the user script that's just really nice that will basically get your server provisioned, configured when it's spinning up. That's also kind of cool. So there's some automation going on here and just heavy deployment from local to a production or dev environment, but it's not local on your machine. I expect there'll be some issues, especially for folks that have never done this before, but we'll get through it. All right, so we're going to push images to Docker Hub. Yep, that makes things portable. We're going to deploy EC2 launch templates, and we're going to talk about the trade-offs. And then I had in here where we also do ECS as a part of the lab. I'm going to do a demo, but I've moved some stuff into the challenges for that. So basically, your challenges now have a lot of what was going to be baked into the lesson and baked into the lab. So it's not so long. All right. So yeah, again, and instead of me reading over everything, I've made a decision. I was talking to Julius. I'm not going to do so much reading. I'm going to let you guys do a lot of the reading. I'm just going to try to go over it really quickly and then get to the walkthroughs. Um, but yeah, this is what we're trying to do here. And then I've got, all of our learning objectives are down here. Pretty much should hit all of this stuff. All right. So like I said, here is our lesson. It's kind of long. I want you guys to read this. I'm not going to go over this whole thing. But basically what we're doing in this whole thing is, like I said, we're going to be starting with launch templates. And then you guys, I'm going to do a demo of ECS, and that's a part of your challenge. And then comparing what are these two things and why we'd use one over the other. And again, a lot of that is in here. Again, I'm not going to do all of this. You can read on all over all this on your own. This is just good reference material. But it's basically talking about when you do stuff locally versus when you're going to production, your environments change. And that's what this whole thing is about, is getting our environment ready for we just can't take your image that you build locally and then just throw it up there and expect it to work unless you get it prepared for, a different non-local environment. So again, just go over, read through this stuff. We're going to be doing a lot of this ourselves. Here's some things like, the difference between ECS and launch templates and why you need one versus the other. But it just makes much more sense when you see this stuff working. All right, so we're going to go right into the lab. Please do follow along. And this is what we're going to be doing here. We're going to push images to Docker Hub. We're going to use one of those images with our EC2 launch template that we're going to create. Everything's going to be in the GUI and not the command line. This whole thing was written via the command line before, and that was a little advanced. We're going to deploy using ECS, and then we're going to compare and contrast the two different approaches for this deployment. Prereqs. All right, so you guys should all have access to this application. But what I did is I felt like for those folks that still have, maybe might be a little bit behind or they weren't able to fully get this guy working, I created a second path in this lab where you can just do a simple React app. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to be demoing this simple React app and not the full stack app that you guys are working with, but they're both available. You guys will get, Docker Desktop will need to be running on your machine. That's how you're going to build the image. You got to have your AWS account. I've already given you guys permissions to ECS, so you should be good there. And yeah, your credentials. All right, so this is what I was talking about. This is this. I suggest any of the folks that are feeling like they need a little more familiarity, they're feeling a little uncomfortable, I say do the simple React app and walk through this. And that's what I'll be doing right now. All right, so give me a moment to get my environment set up here, and then we will get going. So I've already actually done, this is my demo here basically that I walked through yesterday. Let me just make another one. Okay, let's get going. All right, should be in terminal and create yourself a directory that you want to work in for this demo. And I'm like I said, I'm doing the simple React app. There's instructions in the repos for the folks that are not going to do the simple React app and are going to deploy the Poly app that you guys worked with on Thursday. So I'm just going to burn through this. Just hate this little annotate thing here. Wish I could move this. Oh, I can. Nice. All right. So I have my React app is built. Let's see if I back out of this thing. All right, so you see I have two apps now. This is the first one I built on my first walkthrough, and it's going to work in this other one. And so it creates an app here. So we CD into this guy. This is just the directory that we're working in. And then this is the app that this command up here ran. So basically,
Is it the app from the other day, or
no,
we're doing a new app? I'm sorry.
yeah, so as I was saying, if you look at the beginning of the directions, it says alternative simple React app optional. If you see
Okay.
that, you guys see that. So what I'm doing here, you guys can work with that React app that you guys worked with on Thursday. You totally can do that. You're fine. If you've already got those images, then you don't even need to do all this. What I'm doing now is just an optional because I was looking through what you guys have done, and I'm like, well, they haven't really like there's some of you haven't even seen a lot of these steps. And so I was like, let me just start with a fresh app, simple app, and I'm going to build that all the way through. You guys can do this part, or you can just use the app you've already got built. You've already got the images. So what we're going for here is the images. We're going to build an image and then we're going to deploy that image to Docker Hub. So you don't have to do any of this if you don't want to, but at the same time you can if you want the reps. It's completely up to you guys. There should be steps in here where it talks about like, okay, um, let me see, I'm going through here. Scrolling down. Yeah, pretty much like you'll see if you go down to part one, push images to Docker Hub, you'll even see that I start referencing the voice generator. So anytime you see anything about voice generator, that's just referring to the Poly app that you guys worked with. There's basically two ways to do this lab, and I'm just doing it this way, just so everybody gets to see the steps from A to Z. All right. So the thing to know about when you run this command, which is not the CD. But when you run this command here, this creates a React application for you. It also creates a GitHub repo. I'm sorry, it initializes a GitHub repo in this directory. If you can see now, this is on the master branch. So if I do a git status, this is now a repo. I don't want that. So I'm just going, and this is in the docs. I'm going to just remove my Git repo. I don't want this to be a Git repo. And so now it's no longer a repo. That's all in the docs. So I've created this application that we are going to make an image and deploy, but I want to make it a little bit more me. I want to customize it a little bit. So I'm going to, well, let me show you what's in here. In this source directory, this is where your front end app actually lives. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to edit this guy here. And so
I'm sorry, I'm apologize, but so is this on the one dash deploy in the lessons?
yeah, one second. Let me pull up the
I'm
repo.
sorry, I'm just a little bit lost. No, it's completely my fault, I'm sure, but
No, no, there's no fault for no fault at all. No fault at all.
two, okay, so deploy lab, so that's number two. Okay, deploy
Yeah,
lab.
yeah. So, all right. So, I mean, yeah, this
Okay.
here, I'll go over this again. So this here is just your reading. This is generally would just be me talking at you
Okay.
guys for an hour. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that anymore. Talking to
Okay.
Julius about it. And he's like, yeah, he's like, I generally just kind of breeze over these. And then, so instead of me just going and talking, and then we do a little bit of lab, we're going to just do as much hands-on as possible.
Okay.
So
No
this is,
worries.
yeah, yeah. So this is for you guys to just kind of read over.
Got
Um, and a lot of this will make sense too. If we do this lab and then look back at this, you'll be like, okay, we were doing all of this stuff. And it talks about why does this matter? And there's just a lot of stuff in here that you guys can read over.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I thought that was in the
I totally can
different
understand. You probably
section,
thought I was
but
like working
thank you.
on this. That makes total sense. Yeah, guys, I'm working on the lab and then I'm just doing this right here. This is Kathleen speaking, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank
yeah.
you.
So basically I'm doing this guy here, this
Got it. Okay.
alternative simple React, but you don't have to do this if you guys don't
Thank you.
want to. Yeah, cool. All right. And I'm right here. So I'm just going to customize this file and you'll see once we open it up here. All right. So just opening this file. This is what it built for me. So this is just your boilerplate. All right. And then there should be a script in here and I'm going to replace this entire script. And then I'm going to put something here. All right. So when we deploy this, we'll see that page on the front end. All right. So and now I've added some things in here. If you look at the README, you'll see where it says your project structure now looks like this, and that's a file tree. That's the concept there. So I wanted you guys to have an idea of what your file tree should look like. And if you look here, you've got node modules. It doesn't have the package lock in here, but you've got your SRC. this should look familiar, right, to what's on the page there. And it even says what you just edited, which was the app.js. And so that's what your file tree should look like. All right. And then now we're just going to create a Docker file. And it even says in there, there's a little key, make sure you place the Docker file in the correct directory, right? So we want it in this directory, but do a pwd, present working directory, and just make sure that you're in your simple app directory, or if you're doing the poly React app, whatever directory that would be. And we're going to create this Docker file. And there's two different Docker files here. There's a single stage and a multi-stage. I hope I've tested this multi-stage. Um, Multi-stage Docker files are way, way more efficient. They take a lot less space. So, and exponentially a lot less space. And that can start to matter when you're building just a ton of Docker images. Like say every day you got a build that builds, dozens or more Docker images and deploys things over and over again. It just takes time. So they came up with this idea of a two-stage Docker file where the final image is much smaller and leaner. And so this is your two-stage Docker file. I added some comments to hopefully help you folks kind of understand what's going on there. And and I even there's some explanation in the lab itself. What is a two-stage Docker file? And stage one, it's just building the application, and then stage two is your lean production build, and that's what gets deployed. Um, so it removes all your source code and just things that you don't need for that application to run, but you need that stuff to build it. So it's like build it and then remove away all like you kind of it's like building a house. You come in with all these machines and equipment and materials and people, and they build the house. That's like your first stage. Your second stage is like okay, all those people are out of there. It's all lean. It's like it's a finished product, and there's nothing left that from the build stage. You don't see piles of dirt and concrete. It's just your house. And then I put the single stage Docker file in there as well. So you could just run that. If this breaks, that's what we'll be going back to. Um, that you could even test it. You could build a Docker image that's from a multi-stage and build a Docker image that's single stage. I suggest you do it and then compare the sizes of the Docker files. All right. So, and then we have our Docker file created here. And this is where it should exist in your file tree. Not in not in like side source, not inside public, and not inside the node modules. Your Docker file needs to live at the same level as the rest of these directories and files. All right, and then I suggest you create a little Docker ignore. Docker ignores are just like Git ignores, just ignores whatever files you put in it during the build. So when this builds this Docker image, these files and modules will not be included. That's the same idea as try to keep as much bloat out of your image because you don't want these big, huge files. All right, so now we're ready. Okay, here's a caveat. So this is probably one of the biggest hiccups that people run into. If you're building images locally on a Mac, then you need to use build X. And the reason for that is it's fine if you're building your images on a Mac locally and somebody else on a Mac is going to use that image. But we're going to be using these images in an EC2 instance. And so it's a different architecture. And so if you're building with a Mac, and you push up the Docker hub and then you try to use that image in your EC2, it's not going to work. So you have to spin up another container called buildx. And for people that aren't Mac users, just ignore all this. You just have to go through these steps. So I believe I already got my container running, but once you run this command here, you should never have to run it again. But this basically spins up another container to build. It's a container within a container. It's very, but I'm basically building a container to just build images for a Mac user. All right, so run this guy. Because I already have this, that's why. Because I've already got this running. So let me know if anybody that's running a Mac, if when you run this, does it work for you? I just need a heads up on that.
So far, I mean, it's running npm install, so like still in progress.
Yeah, the npm install will take a second. Has anybody else ran the buildx container yet? No. All right. Well, it's no problem if you don't. You'll find out whenever you launch this. There'll be a very specific error. It's an architecture mismatch error in when it builds, and so you'll know, oh, okay, this is what Chad was talking about.
But this wasn't, so this we don't have to do every time we're doing this, because like if I
Mm,
say like later today, I want to do the same thing again for another app or something, I
So
won't
are
have
you,
to do that.
which this command here, Kathleen, or are you
Yeah,
talking this
that
command here?
install, yeah.
The
The
multi-plat.
build.
Yeah, you only have to do that once, and the reason, and
Okay.
you'll know if you do it a second time, you'll get the same error that I got here. And the
Okay.
reason why is I'd already ran that, and it's running here, so you can see this guy is running here.
Got it.
This
Okay.
is a little extra layer of confusion that I wish that wasn't there. It's just a Mac thing, and it's just the architecture that a Mac when it builds an image. If you don't use this, it won't be multi-architectural. The image won't. It'll only be something that can use on a Mac. But yeah, and
Oh,
so
okay. Got it. So it could,
yeah,
you couldn't then run it on any other,
boom, you would
like,
run it and
yeah.
it would
Okay.
fail. Yeah, you could
Okay.
build it, you could create it, you could try spinning it up and it'd be like, oh, you have a mismatch. And so, and I did it actually again yesterday. I forgot about
Hmm.
this and I built it and I was like, ah, darn it, I knew that.
So then I'm just curious. So for like the other, would it work on any, I'm just kind of equate that to like the different EC2s, or is that on somebody else's machine, or is that, I'm just,
It's
is
for
it
a
all of
different,
the above?
yeah, yeah, it's all the above. For it's so
Okay.
it's completely for a different system. So if you build it
Okay.
with BuildX, then you can run that on an EC2. You'd be able to run that on a Windows machine. Yeah,
Okay.
that's the concept.
Okay.
And you don't have that issue with Windows. So if you're building this on a Windows machine, it's going to work fine. It'll work fine for in the EC2. Yeah. And then you can know, so you guys can know it did this work. And it like a sanity check is you ran this once and you're like, oh, I can't remember, did I run it? And you try to run it again, you'll just get this error. It's just saying there's no append mode. Basically, I think is what it's saying here is you can't create another one of these on top of what already exists. And then you know that it's there if you just do build XLS and it'll show you, oh, I've got this container running. And that just sits there and runs. All right. All right. And you will even see in the doc there it says, and it's basically the architecture is ARM 64 and AMD 64. That is our conflict. All right. And then this is our command to build. So we're actually going to build our image now. And I don't know for folks, if you don't know what's going on, it's all of this is doing when I run this command. It's using this Docker file that we created. And we'll actually, let's look at that really quick. Well, yeah, let me kill this. Let me cat the Docker file. And then let me run. All right, so this Docker file, when we run this Docker file is just basically a set of instructions from top down of what to do. And so obviously everything with the hashtag is a comment. And so it's just going down the line here and saying, okay, I'm going to build a node. I'm going to build this node container, and this is the image I'm going to use. Setting a working directory. This is saying we're going to set the working directory in app, right? And then copy this package.json, which exists right in the same directory that we're in. It's going to run this command. I had this in here prior and it failed. It's going to copy all the current code in the directory above and everything in it. And then it builds it and runs it. And then here is our stage two. And so it's like a fresh image. So it's going to pull in a fresh new Engine X image. And then it's here it even says it's only built from the stage one. So it doesn't include all this extra junk. Like node modules are huge and they just take up a ton of space and you don't need those. Just need for the build part. And then it just copies from the build into this directory. So this is where it serves as your front end. It exposes a port and it starts Nginx and turns the daemon off. I can't remember what this G flag is, but you can look that up. You can even say, can you just ask AI, please explain in deep detail if anybody wants to know further how this Docker image works. But whenever I run this is basically the blueprint that it's looking at. Okay, I'm going to run this Docker build. I need to go here and follow these directions. And that's all it's doing. It's just following directions. All right. Oops, don't want that. Why is it doing that? Yeah, we don't want that. Stop. Okay, and now it's building. You might get a little warning here. Don't worry about that. That could be cleaned up. That could be fixed, but it should work fine. Just ignore this. This should all be good. All right. And what did I give this a name? Or did not name it. Where are you at? Sorry, I'm just trying to find the image, but I'm not going to keep searching. It's in here somewhere. Should be. All right. Um, oh yeah, and somebody, if you get that error that says your Docker daemon's not running, so if you run and you try to build an image and you get an error that says my Docker daemon's not running, you literally just need to go on your machine and start up Docker, and then that'll spin up Docker desktop. If anybody hit that issue, that happened to me yesterday too. All right. All right. Okay. And let's see here. So now once this build is complete, you want to test it locally before we push the image up to make sure that it's working. And so we can just run that really quickly. This is why I don't see the image anywhere. Can we not tag it properly? Yeah. What happened with my build? Boo. What happened? This is a new. So I went through and I refactored some of this because Julius wanted it or a little some refactoring happening, and I'm wondering if my new two-stage Docker image is bad. Did anybody else get to this point here and they were able to Docker run and it found their image? See, for me, it's not finding the image. It's like, oh, the image isn't here. I don't see it. Anybody having that issue or anybody getting it to work?
Still stuck on the other.
What are you stuck on?
The build is still just taking a long time.
Is that your first time running that command?
Yes,
I'm, oh, and so you ran, is it this command or the build X command?
it was the build X, the um let's
It, it,
see,
it can take a
build
minute.
X create the multi-form builder. Like I'm still on
Okay.
that step. It's been
Just
oh,
taking
I think
forever. Okay, there's another
yeah.
command there. I'm actually going to try to build it um, with this stand. Oh, that's not build X though. Hold on a second.
I think it finally went through, so
It did,
I
yeah.
will
It'll take a
follow the rest
minute.
of it.
Yeah. See, my I'm a little annoyed because this worked out perfectly, and then I changed the stock, and I'm like, I didn't want to. It's like, okay, I'll make these changes, and it's just like, great. Let's see here. Gotta love it. And hopefully that's just a crappy command. And this will work. Because basically what we were doing with that command, you're building it for both architectures, but you don't have to do it that way. I think this is a little too fancy. We'll see. Oh, I hate you.
I'm getting that error. Yeah, that from as
Yeah.
casing.
Yeah, let's see what's wrong. All right, troubleshooting time. And if anybody's figured this out, feel free to pipe in. All right, I'm going to, well, let's keep recording. I mean, I have the app built and on Docker. I hope I could use that, but that's not what I'm trying to do here. I want to show you guys how to build. I could do, this should probably work. Yeah. All right, so this is running now. What I did, I basically I pulled my image. This is our goal. I'm just kind of showing you how this works. So I'll digress and move back. I've pushed this image, this to my Docker Hub. So this is actually going out to Docker Hub and pulling this in and then running it, right? It's saying I can't find this locally. So let me go ahead and pull it in from Docker Hub and start this process up. And then, so if we go to a browser, oh, sure. You can actually see I just had a successful get here. That's because, let me pull this in, I'll show you. Now it's running locally. So I've got this guy running. Even say here's my name is Chad. That's the little change I wanted to make to, prove to myself this is working. All right. But now to get this working locally again. Okay, well, there's the image. Did I just name it something differently? All right, let's see if this works. Okay. I think I was just pointing at it incorrectly. Oh, so strange. So strange, so annoying.
Could it be something as simple as the file permissions?
I'm trying to figure out.
Or
Oh gosh. This is it. What it is I'm tired. I'm calling it local, and it's not called local. So this is the tag right here. That's the issue. This is the tag, and the actual tag is V1. So I think this should be a V1 here. And I'll show you that when we built it. Let's see if this works. No. Okay, there we go. All right. Let's see. Yes. Okay. That's what the issue was. All right. That was the problem. This was me being dumb and pointing at it incorrectly. Yeah. All right. See, the app is running there. So what was I running? I was running, yeah, see, every time I was using local, that's why it was going to fail. And what did I do initially? I'm a little surprised that didn't work. but see how we're naming it V1. So the tag matters, but this guy here ran. This worked for me. To make sure you're using the same tag. And then you'll know if you're running you can go to the website, which I just checked. It's running. It's the same thing. My name is Chad. I'm not pulling that on screen. But the better way is just look here. Look at Docker PS list all your running containers. And so this is our simple app here that's running that we just started. And then this is that build X. So you can see how it's running for 17 hours because this is when I was running it last night for my first build. And so for your Mac users, you should see this running. Um, how you doing, Kathleen? Have you gotten to the stage? Since I know you were behind a little bit. It took forever to
Yeah,
build.
so I was doing the adjusting my build statement to be what's it like Docker buildx build dash dash platform, the Linux AMD 64, Linux ARM 64, and then slash or backslash dash T, and then I had to go and find my Docker Hub username, and then
Yes.
backslash the simple React, and my tag is just latest, and then backslash dash dash push period. So I'm on that and seeing it's building it again. And so
Okay.
I don't know if it's going to throw an error or not.
All right. All right. Well, we'll circle back, but I'm guessing, did you have an issue where you will have to actually like link to your Docker Hub. I don't know if you've done that yet. It'll
So I
ask you
did
for,
Docker
you did all
login
that.
and it said
Okay, cool. Okay.
successful login.
Yeah, that's like one of the tricky parts for that. Okay, good, good, good. All right, excellent. Um, we'll keep going here, but again, like if we have, I'll circle back once we're done, and we can work on this some more to individually in groups and keep working on this. All right, so we're basically now to like part one. So if the folks so we're on part one of the lab now. Everything before this was me just doing this demo build. Which you guys, if you didn't do the demo build, you guys could just have used your React app from Thursday. Now you're actually ready to start. And what you're going to do is you're going to, again, you guys should have already created Docker Hub accounts and logged in and done all that. The steps and instructions are there. And so, basically you can start at step 1.4. Obviously, make sure if you're a Mac user, you're following the Mac instructions, and you guys can go ahead and all the directions there for you guys. I did a simple app, so I'm not going to do that again. Um, even step 1.5 talks about tagging it. And so we are ready for step 1.6. So that's where I'm going to jump into pushing images to Docker Hub. There's the non-Mac users, and then there's the Mac users. Um, all right. So this literally just is a Docker command. It pushes, and then whenever you see the push, this is pushing to the Docker Hub, the repo. And so this is my Docker Hub username, and this is the name of the image that we're pushing up. And then this is the versioning. You can name this whatever you want. This versioning can be whatever you want to name it. You can name the app whatever you want. All right, this should push. Oh, I've already got a version one up, so I should have deleted that. It doesn't matter. You guys can see here. So it's saying these layers already exist because I already built it and pushed it up, but I did make a change. And the change I made was whenever I went in and I edited the file and I made my name in there, that's a little bit different than the first time I did this. And so that's this change here. And so if I go to Docker Hub, which I'll show you guys now. And in the challenge, there's one of the challenges is for you guys is to go and explore and play around with Docker Hub. I think Docker Hub's pretty cool. You can do a lot of really cool stuff with images. All right, so here we go. 1 minute ago, here's the image that I just pushed up. And so you can see here's the tag. And so I would say when you're playing around with these is like push up with a different tag. So you build this image over and over and over again, right? So the way that the flow, the way this would work is I'm developing, I built this thing. So we just started this React app, we got it going and launched. It's very, very basic. This is version 1. Then we go in there and we add some code, we make some changes, and then we just change the tag, and then it'll be like version 2. And then so you'll still have that old image setting there if you ever need to go back to it. So it works as version control as well. But I'm a big, big fan. And so your path for this guy, it even gives you a little like to push to, it gives you these little commands, right? There's a lot of help and there's a lot of information here if you want to learn. Um, but whenever you want to reference this and grab it, that's all you need. The username / and the name of the image. All right, so let's get back here. Our image is up. And for the folks that are doing front and back end, that's why I didn't do the more complicated app. I wanted to keep it simple and just do one image, the front end. But if you're doing a full stack app, you can push multiple images up, and you could coordinate that and build a front end, a back end, database, however you want to do it. All right, so we just did step 1.7. We verified on Docker Hub. All right, now part 2. This is where it actually kind of gets fun. This is where we're actually going to get into the GUI and start doing some work. I'll give everybody a 5-minute break because I want to refill my coffee. Just a quick 5 minutes, then we're going to get at it. And I can answer questions too. So let me stop recording. Guys, this doc got changed. I'm a little frustrated. I had this actually like perfect. I don't necessarily love that build command that it was using for let's see here. I would rather you guys just use did that work, Kathleen? Did that work for you?
No, I went back to
Okay.
doing the local that you did. I did it the same
Okay.
way you did.
Yeah, and did that work?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Would you mind just sending me the commands that you sent in like a Slack message, Kathleen? Just like
Yeah,
the last couple commands. I'm gonna switch that doc and change it because I
sure.
think that it's a little confusing. Um, all right, cool. All right. And then so everybody should be to the point where they've pushed their image. That's very, very important. And again, you wouldn't even have to gone through all this. You could literally just take the image. Because did Julius provide that for you guys? Did Julius provide the images for the front end and the back end for that application? He told me he was going to. If he didn't, then I'll get those at the break for you guys. You can just like you don't have to build an image to push an image, right? So you can you can get an image and like and push that up. Like you can use information that's already been created, but I wanted to do it this way so you guys can start from scratch and see how it works. But so we've got our image here. You've got to get this image pushed up. And then once that's pushed up, we can start working in our templates, which we're going to do now.
You're pushing it up now, or you're working
I
with
already
it?
did actually. Yeah, I already pushed it up right here. So this push command. And
Yeah.
so you see how it's like this push refers to this blah, blah. It's basically saying this repository. So it's like, oh, this is Docker. This is a Docker endpoint. And I showed you guys there are already why it's saying layers already exist because I'd already pushed up an image there. If you guys have never pushed up an image for this specific image, it wouldn't say this. It would just build it. You would see this build here, and then you would go to Docker Hub and you would see it there. Again, so all right, I've showed you guys that earlier, so you can go back in the
Yep.
video and look. Okay.
I'm with you. The instructions just splintered between your local and the original, but I see the push in the instruction on the website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Good.
if it doesn't say simple React app and it's like the voice thing, just know that it's talking about the app that you guys worked with on Julius, the one that you guys have used this whole week.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to do both, but yeah. So yep, so you just do that push. And again, I can do it again. It'll just be like, oh, these already exist. All right, and so it's already up there. So now that that exists, now we're going to jump over into the Amazon GUI and here. All right, and I need to be able to have this on one page. Bear with me, folks. Okay. All right. I gave you guys a bunch of policies, so hopefully there's definitely, it's please speak up if you're clicking through and trying to create things. If you get an error, it doesn't allow you to change or create a resource. So we're going to start to go to your EC2 dashboard. And this is when I noticed like there's some instances, like you got like 4 instances running here. And then if you go over to EC2 or US East 1, there's several instances running here. So not going to yell at you guys yet, soon, just so you know. All right. Chandra, who's kind of like, he's not instructing right now, but he would, his favorite thing was to yell at us and in the nicest way about our resource uses and tell us how expensive they are. All right, so we're going to do launch templates. I think you can just type in. Yes, you can just type in launch templates. All right, this is our launch templates. Open. Why won't you open? Strange. Oh yeah, because it is open. And you can see I've already created one here. Oh, it looks like Nick's already in on it. So Nick's already created one here. All right, so, but first we have to create our favorite thing, which is another security group. So we can just find security groups on here, or you can always just search, right? You can just do sec group. So pop up, yeah. All right. You got your security groups, and we're going to create a new one. There's so many. All right, we're just clicking now, guys. So please do click through. So on these rules, if it doesn't say click something, don't change anything. There's going to be a lot of stuff. Just ignore it if it doesn't say anything about it. All right, so you can now, obviously, when you're doing the create security group, the directions there are for the folks that are doing the voice generator, right? If you're just doing the simple React app, then you can just do something like Chad's simple React app. Same kind of thing, Chad's demo step group.
So the instructions had us go into the poly challenge app. If we're doing the simple one, we don't do that then? Because now I have 2 Dockers running, I think.
All right, so say that again. You've got
Because I did the simple one walkthrough that you said to do, and then then the instructions, the next little bit of the instructions says go back into your other challenge and look at your YAML file for the front end, back end, like, and then do the Docker command again, Docker build command again. Were we supposed to do one or the? Okay.
all righty. Okay. So all right, we're starting with, again, part 2. And you can do this, Kathleen. This part you can totally do. So, and what you can do is, I wonder if it'll allow that. Yeah, it's public. So yeah, you guys can totally follow along and do this, Kathleen. Anybody that's not up to this point, you don't have an app, you don't have an image, no problem. I'll let you guys just use my image and this should work. You should be able to just point at my repo. So just follow along here and create your security group under the EC2 console.
Chad, I don't think you're sharing your screen.
Thank you, sir. I love you guys. I wouldn't be able to do this if I didn't have help. I would be in trouble. All right, so share. All right, you should be able to see create security group. Is it good now?
Good now.
All right. All right. Go to your EC2 console, search for security groups, and we're going to create our security group. Give it a name that reflects, just put like your name reflecting whatever app we're working on. Give it a description. Leave the VPC default. Don't change that. Let's see here. Going to add a rule. Going to go to inbound rules and we're going to add a rule. Going to do just go down here, go to HTTP. That'll fill everything in for you. All right, source, you're gonna go source IPv4 anywhere. All right, and we're gonna add a rule for SSH access. This will all make sense soon. You can just go down and click SSH. And you can do this. I'm curious, this is new. This is actually pretty cool. So this wasn't before. I guess it's discovering your own IP, but now you're behind a router. So I had this work, but then I had it not work. So we're going to start with this. If you guys have SSH issues and you're like, oh, it's not allowing me to SSH, this is saying it's discovered my IP, we'll just do an anywhere and we'll open it up to everybody. But start with the my IP option. Just remember this when you're SSHing, if you have issues, it could be this. Very cool feature though that they added. All right, so then you just click create security group. And all these are step by step in the directions. I'm just following the directions here. All right, I got my security group. And now I'm going to, and we're going to use that here in a second. I'm going to create a launch template. And right here, you can also just search launch templates right here. All right, it opened them up. And this is the one I created before, but I'm going to create another one so you guys can see. Actually, this was me, right? I'll delete this. Okay, just name it Chad's demo React. I'm just gonna go camel case. I'm gonna use every case I can. Right. All right, you don't click this, but this is like interesting. You can learn about auto scaling here, but we're not going to do that for this. Auto scaling happens in the afternoon. All right, so template name and description. And then you're going to go to your OS images. And so it's down here. You can go here, or you can just do quick start. If you click quick start, you've got your AWS Linux stuff here. And then it defaults to the free tier 2023. So you can just stick with this guy. Just leave it the default. All right, all this is default. All right, instance type, this is important. I noticed somebody built it wasn't a micro. So just don't build anything above a micro. You don't have to go nano, but don't build like these things are absolutely expensive. So like, and it gives you your price, but like they just can go up and up and up. And so like, what one was that one's like, I saw one here's $4 an hour. So please stick with your free tier. Just stick with the T2 micro.
Hey Chad,
Yeah.
for the micro, I see there's like, is it free? The one I picked was T3 micro because it said free tier eligible on the right hand side if you keep going down. But
Oh,
none
there's
of
another.
those say that,
Yeah,
right?
oh yeah, good point. Good point. Good
So
point.
like
That
a
is free tier. No,
smaller,
you're right. Yeah.
so use
So
that one instead.
yeah. I mean, I'm guessing, let's just say, I'm just curious, is this a smaller one CPU, 1 gig? Nice catch. Two CPUs, 1 gig. Heck yeah, pick this one. I'm gonna change that on the doc. Would you guys mind making a note, Mike or Kimberly? Like, yeah, this is good stuff. Good catch. Because if you go with this one, you're only getting a CPU. It's not even in the free tier. Great catch. Nice catch. So yeah, do T3. The idea here is this, yeah, we want to stay free tier. Don't pick something that's not. Don't go for the big ones. Don't go for the big boys. All right, and then so your key pair login. So you can use the same one that you've always been using. You can create a new key pair. I created a key pair yesterday. This is my key pair. You just need to make sure you have this key pair, right, that you assign to it, or you won't be able to SSH into the host. This gives us SSH access. You can also create a new key pair if you want, but if you have one that you know you've already downloaded it, then just select that. You can't grab mine because you don't have my key. I'd have to send it to you. So, all right. So that was 6 key pair settings. 7 is the network settings. And so we're just going to select your existing security group here. And I just named it. What did I name it? Something dumb.
Was that CP Chad? CP
Yeah. Yeah. So this is my group that I created. So that's my security group that has port 80 and 22. All right. And then advanced details, not advanced network config. Go to the very bottom here, advanced details. All right. Some of you developers will, or maybe all of you guys know about this. This is kind of cool. This allows us to put a script into the template. So when the server spins up, this gets ran. So you'll see here, I've got a couple of scripts for you guys. And I tried to create this script for the generator, the voice generator, but again, I have not, this is only set up for you guys, by the way, for the front end. So you can do the voice generator, but you're not able to do the back end. But you can launch the React front end. You'll see it working. It just won't have a back end to hit. So I don't know if that script's going to work for you guys. You're going to have to test it and let me know. I think it will. But I do know the simple React apps script works. So I'll paste that in here now. So again, if you're doing the simple React app, use this script. If you're using the voice app, use the first one. And so this is just going to run after the server comes up. It's just going to run all these commands for you, which is pretty cool. All right. So obviously make sure you've got the right tag here. And then obviously I did this the other day and I almost did it again. So I didn't change these, right? And it didn't work. So you need to go in here and put your username in where you pushed that to Docker Hub. So this is going to go out and pull from Docker Hub. So if your image isn't on Docker Hub at this route or this endpoint, it's not going to work. And you need to change it here as well. All right. And then this is, I don't know, this doesn't really necessarily need to be here, but when you go in and run your logs, like nobody sees this. So this is actually not necessary. All right. So this script is now going to run. This is a part of this template. So every time we launch an instance from this template, it'll run this for us. And so there's a bunch of other stuff you could throw in here to provision your server so you don't have to do it yourself. All right. That's it. So you just got your script in here. You've got your set group. You've got your key pair name. You've got your instance type, and you got Amazon Linux 2023. Give it a name, description. All right, launch that template or create the template. So now we've created the template, and now we're going to launch. All right, step 2.3. So you find your template, you click actions, and I just want to kind of show you guys. So here's our template. So I've seen some that have already been created. I'm guessing somebody did this, right? This isn't me, that's somebody else. I think I named mine Chad's demo template. All right, and you could actually use my template. Somebody could just grab this template and use it, and it would pull from my image. So yeah, what I was going to say, let's go back into this template where I added those. Here, let me just do this because I don't want to change it. So where I added this script, if you don't have an image and you're like Kathleen, since you haven't been able to push your image, you could just use exactly what I did. You could put tsmith 4014 here, tsmith 4014 here, and you could run this and it'll just pull my image. The same kind of idea, Jesse, with your Postgres images, like you want to run a Postgres container, that image is just out there for anybody to grab. It's public, and this is as well. So feel free to use my image so you can test this. And now we're going to just be spinning up so many EC2s. This is going to be funny. A lot of resources. All right, so we're going to click into your template, and you're going to do a launch an instance from the template.
I think I figured it out, Chad, by the way.
Oh, okay. After we're done, I want you to show us, right? So
Okay.
yeah, cool. Excellent. Thank you for figuring that out. Because I wanted to stay and troubleshoot that until we figured it out. All right. So you've created your launch template. We're on step 2.3, launch instance from template. So you just clicked on actions, which is I just did. And there's really nothing to do here other than just make sure this is 1, which is default still 1. But there really is, you really don't need to click anything in here other than just launch instance. But you could, if you wanted to do 10 instances, that would launch 10 instances from this template. So it tells you the T3 micro, your security group. It's just using 1 volume, and this is the image that we're using. This is our operating system, so we're good. We can just launch this guy. Don't need to do any of this. Just leave all this as is. All right, and now it's initiated the instance, and so it should be running. But if you open this address, it's still spinning up, right? So it's still building the app, it's running all those commands, it's installing, and so like there's nothing here, right? So yeah, it's just spinning, right? And also this isn't HTTP. So yes, this is HTTP. So it can't reach it, right? That's because it's still spinning up. So we're going to connect to it. And this again, so you guys, that's how this is your quick connect string. But the only thing you got to change here. Sorry, let me get this better organized. Okay, so the only thing you need to change with this string is you just need to make sure and point at wherever you've got your PIM key stored. This was so confusing to me when I first started into tech. I was like, what are you talking about? I didn't understand paths, and so that really hurt me. But you got to point at where this key is, and my key is in my home.ssh directory. So I copied this key when I downloaded it to this directory, and so it lives there. And so I should be able to hit my instance. And now I'm in the instance, and we should be able to do like a history, maybe. No, but we can do, there's a command. Did I add that command? No. There's one command I want to add to the README. I'm gonna find it though. Just bear with me, guys. This is it here. So this is the logs that basically the build logs from when this instance launched. So everything that happened, right? So this is me like the SSHing in and all that. So then you can see here, so like here is things being installed. This is based on like you can see Docker's being installed, and these are dependencies. If you look in the Docker image, it'll say in there install requirements.txt, and there's a requirements.txt file. So this is just following what it's supposed to do. It's installing all this stuff based on, see, it's pulling this layer in right here. See, it went out to Docker, it's gone here. It's actually pulling the image. So this is pulling from Docker Hub. And I don't see any errors. So we should be good. That's the Docker PS command, but and the reason there's no Docker images showing here is because it was just done too quickly. It wasn't spun up yet. So when I said that Docker PS command and that script is useless, it kind of is. So we should see some, unless we error it out. Uh-oh, looks like our app did error out, which is concerning. I don't see any errors. Bummer. Totally worked yesterday. Let's see here. And more concerning part is why do we not have any error logs? We are running. Did anybody else get launched? And actually rendering on the front end? No. Unless it's still building.
Are the log commands in the
Yeah, I need to
walkthrough
add
too?
that one. I need to add that in there. Yeah, that was something that needs to be added, but I'll drop that in chat.
Okay.
Yeah, there's your command there. Perplexed. All right. So pulled the image. Why didn't you run? All right, what did I do wrong? Has anybody got this working though? I'm just curious, did it work for anybody? Even in the React app? No?
I got the front end to show up.
Okay, nice, nice, nice. I probably made some little issue, but it won't be able to see logs because nothing is running. Yeah. Let me go look at my template again. What did I? Go ahead and deploy another one. And the one thing is when you just create these things, it doesn't tag them. So you've got to like go in. The way you can find out if it's your instance or not is just go down and look at the key pair that you assign to it. So that'll let you kind of know, oh, that's my instance. And then you can go in and you can name it. What was mine? My IP was 163. This is me here. That one's mine. I'm going to kill this thing. And launch another one. Curious about my script. Did I screw something up in here? Yeah, because it got the image, it pulled the image in. Huh. Let's try one more. So like, see how it's still running? Like there's less logs that got in there. So it's still running right now. And if you check this again, there'll be more logs. Still running. I have to give it a second. Did anybody get this working? Anybody else get this working? Anybody that's doing the simple React app version get this up and working? think I deleted my old template. I should have left my old template so I could have demoed that, but very confusing. Might have to troubleshoot this and figure out why. Ah, there we go. Interesting. All right, I'm going to stop the recording right here. I think that, just quickly look here.
Normal for this kind of way
Yes.
of launching stuff? Okay.
Yeah. So you're talking about when you go to your EC2s and you go
Yeah.
here and you're like, why don't I know anything? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is normal.
Okay.
So what you're going to the only way to find your EC2
Yeah.
is you've got to go through, and I'd say just look at the IP. So when it
Okay.
launches from your like you do your launch, it tells you, oh, it launched here. So I would suggest clicking here. It'll bring you to the instance itself. And then you can tag it in here. I never do. There's a way to tag the name in here, but
So
you
you're
can do
no
that.
longer sharing, by the way, if you're saying
Oh
here or me.
yeah. All right, and I want to
Yeah.
show you guys. I already think I figured out the issue. So I told you guys that Julius had me refactor a little bit of the lesson after I completed the AM. That messed me up
Mhm.
because the scripts got changed. One thing got removed from our script, and I was like, why? Why? Sometimes I hate AI. But yeah, so in that instance, Kathleen, when you're trying to figure out, okay, so what I did here, when you
Yeah.
launched from the
I already
template,
clicked. I already clicked away from it. I guess I have to just hit back a bunch because that's
yeah,
it's like, how do I find that again? Because one of the recommendations for troubleshooting was stopping it and starting it again so it will get an IP
yep.
or a whatchamacallit, an
The
address assigned or something, because that might be the reason why it wasn't populating my browser. But then I was like, okay, well then I need to go and stop it. And then how do I find it?
Yeah, so just do this. So if you've already clicked out of here and you can't click into your instance, it's okay. But if you do, the first thing you can do is just click into it after the launch template and go down. Yeah, make sure it has your key pair assigned. And then you can look at the IP address. So like, okay, this is 176. So say you didn't click on here and you're like, what was my, so like if you just don't know at all, you literally
Yeah.
you'll have to go like this. So do running only.
Okay.
Right. And that brings up all the things that are running. And
Hmm.
then you literally just have to click through. All right, is this me? Go down here, look at oh, that's Chad. So that's me. I know this is me.
Are
So
you
I
looking
would,
for the PEM key? Is the PEM key listed?
yeah, that's actually, I'm looking at the security group that
Security group. Okay,
yeah,
got it.
yeah. So what I did here was, I know this is me because when I clicked in here and I scroll down and look here, it's like, here's my key pair. I'm sorry, it's not my security group, but my key pair is here. Yes. These-
Where, I'm sorry, I'm here being,
Am I not
where's
sharing
that listed?
anymore?
You are, I'm just not, I don't see the here. Oh, there it is. Sorry, I zoomed in. Got it.
Yeah.
Keep your
Yeah,
assignment. Got
right
it.
here.
Okay.
Another way,
Okay.
like I say, the security group, you could go here and you could be like, oh, there's my security group I'm creating. That's
Okay, got it.
when I create resources, I try to tag it with something that's like my name because there's
Yeah.
a lot of us, right? So yeah, but this is what you can do though. So again, go to running. This is me, 176. You can click right here. And You can do this actually programmatically. You can have it set up where it'll tag a name to a resource when it's built. It's just that's not a part of what we're doing here. But
Okay, got it.
definitely, you can definitely make this a part of your build and have it tag it for you. But it'll tag it at the same time, saying every time. But yeah, so that's how you can find your instance. And I now know what I did wrong. I was like, so that user script that we had is missing something. So the user script, which is where is it at? Here. It doesn't have something. I just realized, which it did have something. I had this working perfectly, and then it got changed. So this is missing a command. What's happening here? I'm getting this Docker daemon socket, and it's saying, "Oh, you've got permission denied." The reason is because Docker runs on sockets, and this user doesn't currently have access to Docker. And so what needed to happen was, let's see, it's Docker. I remember what it is. Docker. G. Gosh, I gotta find this command. 1 second. Yeah, here we go. It needs this command. This basically gives when we talk about sudo, this gives this user basically sudo rights with Docker. So now that needed to be in our script. So our script, and then we basically just need to recreate that script. All right. So we need to run what that script was running for us, which was all right. We need to now run verify this guy. This is the command that failed. So it was able to pull in the image, but it wasn't able to. It ran this and it failed. And it's a little confusing to me. I think the logging needs to be added. That whenever I ran that to check these
What you got?
logs, it didn't
Ooh,
do that.
yummy. Mom, is there any way that I could ask you to, oh, I'm sorry. Didn't realize that was.
No worries, no problem. Oh, it didn't like my Docker pull either. What username? See how this is still finding username and it's not using the tsmith. Interesting. All right, well, we're not going to redo I'm just going to show that this will work. Docker run. Oh, duh, I need to change it here. Long day already. All right. There we go. All right. So we just need to get one command into our template, which is this command. And then our template should work. For the folks that got it working, did you guys do a user a mod for your EC2 user to get it working?
What do you mean user mod?
Yeah, what is going on? This is really annoying. I just gave myself permissions. What the
Chad, do you mind dropping that command in chat?
Yeah, but even for me, it's not working. I don't know. It's really goofy. I'm gonna have to like dig back in. I almost am tempted to just go back to my previous version and just use that. A little annoyed that I had this working beautifully and then in practice, falls apart. All right, there's that command. That basically just gives the Docker user the EC2-user permissions. It should get rid of this error. The fact that it's not.
Did you put it in the Zoom chat?
I did. Is that
Reply to your thread, Kathleen.
all right. Actually, here we go.
Ah, okay.
Let me get out of replies. I don't know if it's still replying. Again, I hate everything about Zoom. Hate everything about it. The chat, the 3 screens that it opens. Yeah, I can even see that my user is right there. So that's what that command does. It just adds that user to this Docker socket access, which should give it the ability to do all this fun stuff. And again, I don't really understand why it's not working. It's a little frustrating. Oh, 'cause I'm stupid. Oh my goodness. Well, you know what, guys, we're getting a good demo in Linux administration right here. So does anybody know why this isn't working? My Linux admins. So there's this funny thing. So this is a user, right? The user is signed in, and this user, I don't know if this will work because I'm not using AD. Yeah, okay. So this user here, when you do like ID and a user, this shows you all of the groups that that user is a member of. And you can see right here is Docker. And so I gave this user the ability to run Docker socket access. It has sudo. However, these permissions won't take effect until this session is restarted. If you give a user permissions during the session, which I'm currently in the session, and you try to use that permissions in that session, it won't work. So I should, if I exit and I go back into the EC2 instance, and then I try this, I should have access. Okay, now it's already running. Oh yeah, I had it running, but I wasn't able to do something. Yeah, I need to remove this container. So Docker remove container, Docker images remove.
Is it running?
It's not running, but the container is still there.
Okay. Docker RM
And
and then
then
whatever you named it.
cool. Nice. See here? And I'm actually glad that this happened. So you see how this is like, oh, this is not going to work. This wasn't built with the proper architecture. So this image that I created, even though I thought I built it correctly, it was built incorrectly. It's that if I was on a Windows machine and I did this, this would have worked just fine. So this image, even though I thought I got it built for Linux and ARM64 and AMD, it's not. This is that issue that I was talking about. So the image is there. Anybody else get your image built in for Mac? I could pull that image and it would work. But yeah, so anybody's trying to use my image, it's also not going to work for you. So I need to rebuild that. Bummer. But so yeah, that command worked. If you guys get the issues with permissions, go ahead and run this command here, exit and log back in. So we just need to put this in that script. That should be in that convenient script for our launch template, which had that yesterday, but whatever. All right. So I would need to rebuild this correctly. I think I also probably need to remove the old image. I'll just do a version 2. I'm really kind of surprised that this didn't work. And I'm recording, huh? Still, huh? Am I? Or did I stop?
And we got mine working too. Yay.
You did? All right,
Yeah.
cool. All right. All right. So I want to point out the error that was in the curriculum. What happened was I had this working, had this all good. There were some changes, and I had AI do some polishing. And so this is what it did that caused us this chaos and messed me up. And it could probably look, and I'm sure this is a functional way to do this, but it threw me. So see this command right here. It has both architectures here, and we don't need that. The command, well, I'll show you exactly what it's going to look like. So you'll see there'll be one less. I think the arm goes away. Yeah, so see here how it's just AMD and there's no arm. So this will be corrected. This will be changed. I think what it's doing is creating two images that you can use. I don't know. I've never seen it done like that before, and that's where AI can kind of mess you up. It's trying to help, and it threw me. So I'm going to demo this real quick. I just built this with fixed demo, so I'm going to change the version to fixed demo 1. We'll just call it 2. I'm going to rebuild the same simple React app that we already have built earlier. So we have video for that. I'm building this and pushing up the Docker Hub. All right, it's in Docker Hub now. And I just got to make sure that I change to this version here, fix demo 2 in my script. So I've got my launch template here. I even called it fix template. If you guys want to go look at this, it's in Ohio. And I'm just going to go down and change the script, which I also updated. I threw in here a little wait because I don't know if Cam's issue was some sort of race condition where it was just not installing, because it was hitting some other process and it was just jamming it up and just having a catastrophic failure. But anyways, I threw that in there, and we just need to change this right here to fix demo 2. That's the image that we just pushed up. And then we're going to launch. And I wanted to show something else as well. So if you quickly go over here, open this up, come here, well, hey, that doesn't work, right? But then you just click in, you see it's HTTPS. You got to remove that because we don't have an SSL cert in place. We're just doing unsecure HTTP. It's not going to work, right? It's not going to work. That's going to happen while it's building the server. So I don't know if anybody hit that and like, oh, it's not working. Why is it not working? You got to give it a second to build. And then I wanted to show one other thing. I gave you guys kind of a long version of the command for the logging. Okay, so if you use, where's my tail? Right here. If you use this and just throw this tail number of lines 50, it'll just give you your last 50 lines instead of having to scroll down every time. That's, oh, I'm not in my instance. That's why. What happened? Ah, I see it. I have a typo.
Typo.
Yep. There we go. All right, and then that, we'll see how it tails just the end of the log. So just scroll all the way through it. All right, so you can see that it did start up a container. Let's see if it's running. Still, yeah, it's still running. So it should be, we should see something here on our page that was no longer working, right? But now you just have to give it time to build, and now it's working. So that is the tail end there that that wasn't working for us. To summarize, I was just using the wrong build command. This is the correct build command. And the user script in the back, I just updated it. I don't know if that was causing us issues or not. So that is working. And then now I want to give you guys this ECS demo. Anybody have any questions on that? Okay, how do I want to do this? Could open up the terminal. All right, just getting set up. I'm going to go ahead and drop the steps for the specific demo I'm going to do just in chat. Julius was working on the Flask version of this, and I guess he was having some issues last night. This will be in our Slack chat. Let's see here. So in our Slack chat, here's the steps I'll be taking. All right, so start in our console. Oh, and I should kill this, right? Like clean up my resources here. So I'm going to terminate this instance. Please, guys, do that. Like we have a ton of stuff running that will start causing problems with deployments and resource allocation if we have any sort of quota. So please, at the end of the day, if you guys could just go delete a bunch of crap, that would be great. All right, so go in here, just type in ECS, Elastic Container Service. All right. And then you're going to click on clusters. Oh, I see. I love it. Nick's already got his cluster going. Nick could probably teach the class as well, probably much better than me. Click on create cluster and same kind of thing. It's going to give it a like just generic name. All right. And there's not a lot of clicks here, even though through this process, there's going to be a ton of information. You just have to have specific changes that you make. All right, so we got to get the cluster name. It already defaults to Fargate only, so we're gonna stick with that. This basically makes it where we don't have to do any kind of management. AWS does it all. You can do Fargate and manage instances, and this gives you a little bit of control. This you have no control. It's all managed by AWS. And so. All right. There may be an issue. I know I gave you guys full ECS, so you shouldn't have any permission issues. If you guys get any weird alerts that saying you don't have permissions to do something, please speak up. All right, so we are going to now, let's see here. Task. Yeah, all right, once you're done here, you've given it your name. I don't think we don't need to give it a namespace. It's just create. Yeah. All right. Let's make, oh, no, we do want to go cluster name. Yeah. All right, cool. Create. And then we need to create a task. So that'll be creating for a little while. So then you can just go on and click task definitions. And you're going to create a new task definition. Give it a name. All right, give it a name. Launch type is Fargate. It defaults to that. It already defaults to Linux, so we don't need to make a change there. The things you do change here is this. This is cost, right? So bring this down to a quarter CPU and half a gig of RAM. Hold on a second. My wife is playing with Halloween toys. All right, so quarter CPU, half a meg memory, and okay, then container name. You can give that a container name here, like that simple React app, Shad, and got to pick your image. All right, and this is where it's kind of cool. I didn't know that you could do this. So my first time playing with ECS was this time around, and this is kind of neat. So this knows to point that Docker Hub. This just knows, okay, I'm going to go out to Docker Hub and grab this, which is pretty neat. And so we named this demo 2. fix demo 2. All right, and this is ECR. I'll talk a little bit about that. This is last.
Was it 0.2 or just 2?
I don't. Yeah, I'm looking at my. What did I know? It's actually. Let's check here. It was in cursor. I'm looking off screen here. Good call. Fix demo 2. Yeah. All right. So fix demo 2. Yeah, just checking my notes here. Do some port mappings, which already set to 80 TCP, so that's good. We don't even need to add anything. This is solid. So just leave that as is, unless yours doesn't default to this, but I've done this once. I don't think it defaults to my previous choices, but just make sure your port mapping says 80 TCP, HTTP. You can name it. You don't have to name this. All right, and then now you can just click create at the bottom. You leave everything else alone. All right. Now go back to you created a task. You've built a cluster. Now you've got to go to your cluster and click on it. And then you need to assign it a task. So services, go into services, go down here and click create. And then find your task in the drop down that you created. Just leave it as version 1. You can leave this the same. All this stays the same. Networking. Networking goes to your default VPC. You shouldn't have to change anything. And then, all right, when you get to security group, you're actually going to do, I know this is the funnest part, is you're going to create another security group. All right, and again, I have all these directions I dropped in Slack. Every step is in Slack if you guys need this. So are going to create an inbound rule. 80p. Okay, so you're going to just do, you can just select from the drop down here and just go to HTTP and it'll just pick your range, your port for you. And then here you're going to open and you're going to select anywhere. So this is the one rule that you need, HTTP, port 80, anywhere. And then you want to make sure this, you don't have to click it, but make sure this is turned on. It should be defaulted to turned on. When you're done with that, just scroll to the bottom and hit create. And now you got to give it a little bit of time. So just wait on the screen while this is spinning up.
Would you go to Docker Hub real quick?
Yeah.
Demo 2. If it doesn't spin up pretty quick, I think there's a typo that we'll need to fix.
Really? What was it? Let's see.
You did, I think, fix demo 0.2.
Oh, great. All right. 1 second here. So wait, I did that in.
That was in your cluster where
Yeah,
you tell
cluster.
it
Yeah.
when
Then
you
the
point
name.
it to the Docker Hub thing.
All right, let me see here.
It might have been in the task definition. I
Yeah.
think it's the
So task definition. Okay, yeah, let's look here. And then I wonder if I can edit that. No.
I think you have to create a new revision.
All right, let's try
For-
it. Yeah. So you're saying where I pointed at it down
Right
here?
there. Yeah. So
Good catch. Yeah, good catch. It's just fix demo 2, right?
that's what your Docker Hub says, right?
Yeah. No, that's totally right. That's a great catch. It's a great catch. At work, we do everything with like O in front of it. So yeah, that's a very good catch. I think that'd be the only issue then. We'll create that task. All right, so that's a new task. I've got to deregister the old tasks. So I think, and we'll see. I'm kind of curious how that's going to work.
I think because I ran into this while I was working on it. I had to, or I guess, can you look at the logs and see if it failed? I mean, I assume it did, right? Because it was pointing
Yeah,
to the wrong thing.
it's totally gonna fail because you're totally right. It's gonna fail without a doubt. Logs. Boo. But no, you're right. I think what I'm gonna do, because I did screw it up, I am going to I'm going to because it was in the task. I'm just going to delete this task. I'm gonna not going to create a new revision. I'm going to, I think you have to re-register it. Let's see, you have to, oh, there we go. Okay. Task 2, task 1. Let me just delete that one. You have to deregister it first. All right. Okay. Now we should be able to go down here, delete this. Thank you for that catch. Really appreciate that. That would have been another fun. Why didn't it delete? Okay, there we go. All right, now let's create another service here. That's the task, and it's dev version 2, so we know we're good there. All right, let's remember. Just checking here. Got my rule. Didn't though. While we're waiting for this, Cam, were you able to sort out your issue?
I was.
Was it a region thing or was it something else?
No, it was so I built it from scratch and found out that for some reason my ECS doesn't spin up as like root. So I have to, yeah, I know it's weird. So I have to like either do sudo across all the lines, a bash, or there's just like this pipe thing that I found on ChatGPT that I can do. And then for some reason, YAML doesn't work for me, and I just have to use DNF. So changing those two things, I was able to spin up a instance from scratch, not using the template. And now I'm working on updating my template to see if that'll work.
Well, I got to look at your IAM policies. That's something's wrong. So something's very, very wrong with your account. So nothing that you did is wrong. It should not do that. So I didn't create the permissions and all that. I was looking at the permissions and it's an absolute mess. So I'll get to work on that and getting you guys the correct permissions. But yeah, something's wrong there. That makes sense though. You totally troubleshot that correctly because when I was looking at it, it's like, well, it's acting like it's not starting up with root powers when it's building the EC2 and running those commands. So yeah, that's very, very strange. Okay, all right. Well, now we know. All right. So okay. So the last steps here for this, after this is it still creating? Refresh. Seriously? All right. It says it's active. Okay. So we need to go to the cluster, find my cluster, and then look at the configuration tab. All right, scroll down to the networking section, which is actually networking. Why am I not seeing networking section? I think my directions are bad. Let's see. Basically, we're just looking for our IP cluster. Guess it's still probably spinning. No, it says it's active. All right. seems to be working. Okay. So give me my IP. All right, hold on a second. Let me just read this. Click on your running task, find the public IP. It's under the configuration task. That's here we go. And finding IPs can always be fun. And I know I found this yesterday when I did this. Does anybody know where this is at, the IP that I'm looking for? Just trying to find our public IP.
Go to tasks
Task, there we go.
and then click on the task in the upper window.
Up here?
Right, yep, right there. Click that. And then click networking, I think.
There we go.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I don't know why it's nested so deep in here. It
Yeah,
could be
that's
something you
really,
want
yeah, really,
much
really.
higher up.
It even says in my notes, it says,
Mhm.
finding the public IP, this can be tricky. So
That's the only reason I was able to find it, because
yeah.
I read the note and I was like, okay, I need to dig.
All right. So we should see our app running at this IP. And this actually should work on HTTPS, I believe. I could be wrong. Made a liar out of me. Nope, there it is. So this is actually running, this is actually running HTTPS here. So that's another benefit of running with ECS. You don't have to do your own SSL cert, HTTP, like set up Nginx for a HTTPS termination endpoint or any of that. It does that all for you. Now, in the documents or in the lessons, it talks about the cost though. You're paying for that. But that is a really nice thing about ECS is you don't have to deal with that. All right, so I want to see if I could find that again though. Okay, so we were under tasks, services. All right, so I'm going to do this here. So I go here, here, go to the service, click on the service, then click the task, and then click in here, and then go to networking. Holy crap, that is very nested. Okay, but that's how you get to your public IP. All right, we got all that recorded. All right. Anybody else able to get their ECS working? Doesn't look like we have Kathleen here for the afternoon session. I know she was doing the simple React app. Did that work for you, Cam, or anybody else get this launched?
I'm not there yet,
Not there yet? No
but I
problem.
have faith.
I have faith in you too. For this one, pretty much it's as long as you're pointing at the correct image and it's the right architecture, it should work. The idea being this is less hands-off, this is more managed by AWS. I mean, you don't even really need to know really a lot about programming. You could just follow some steps and have the direction or have the path to wherever that image is, and you could launch stuff all day. All right, so I'll just quickly jump over and to the PM section. All right, and really quickly, just to recap the AM session, we were working with working with launch templates, and we were working with ECS. The idea with launch templates is just a quick and easy way to spin up EC2 instances based on a template, and then get them, get whatever provisioning you want done in configuration before you even get on the host, or at least some of it. And then ECS is actually the same kind of idea where it launches things based on an image, a Docker image. That's what our launch template does, but it extrapolates everything else. So it spins up the servers, it gets everything installed that's needed, and it does all that for you. And I think there's also one little thing in the notes here that you can, one little thing that you can do, and I'll do that real quick, is you can go over to your cluster here and clusters, click my cluster, click on task, and you can see how these are stopped, stopped, and stopped. So I should be able to just go over here and stop this, and it should kick off another one. Oh, right here. Oh, there's another one here. All right, I guess I had two going. Stop this. I had two tasks. There we go. All right, now See if it's going to make a, oh, see right here, it already started provisioning a new one. That's the other thing you get. With the launch template as it is now, you're just launching EC2s. But what we're going to do next is we're going to tie in something similar where it will spin up another server if something happens to your current existing one. And that's what this is doing. It's just spinning up another host. And I should lost my IP, but now it's running. So that's the whole concept there. It will, if something happens, it'll just spin up another server and then spin up another server. Now there is a little bit of trickiness, if I remember right, to killing this stuff. Yeah. All right. So I believe, if I remember, stop all. It's just going to launch more. All right. This should just stop launch more. So we can't, if we can do this all day long and it'll just should just keep provisioning. Yeah, see, it's just going to keep provisioning stuff. So we need to go to our cluster. I think it's to our task. I think it's here. Go ahead and deregister your task and go to your cluster. Still active one. There's specific steps that you can go to, like to properly spin these down, but I think you can just delete them. There's some stuff that if you don't follow the right steps, it'll just keep spinning up resources forever and you can never get it to stop. Deregister, delete, delete. Okay, cool. See, it did not delete. There's a step that I need to take, I'm pretty sure. Maybe it did that for me here. Nope. All right, the cluster's still there. We have to do something. And I had these in my directions yesterday that I also lost when I did this amazing refactoring of the code or of the repo. Desired task 0. Maybe up. 0. Yeah, the idea, remember, you just make this be 0. You have that as 0 and you're good. I'm not going to spend too much time figuring how to delete this. Almost certain this won't delete. I'll find those directions. There's a setting you have to do, an under registration, and then you're able to delete this thing. They don't make it easy. Okay, moving on. Oh, there we go. It did delete. Maybe this takes a little bit. All right, clusters gone. All right, now we're looking good. Okay, if you're persistent, you can get it to delete. All righty. Okay, here's the PM section. We are going to pare this down quite a bit, and I'm going to leave a lot of this to you guys to do as stretch goals, as challenges, because it's already been a pretty thick, dense day, and you guys are probably already feeling pretty tired week 3. So I could go dump all this on top of you, but I really don't want to. I feel like we've already kind of added a lot, but I went and changed a lot of it. It was a big mess. The idea is what I tried to do is I wanted this lab to be a continuation of the AM session. So if you're using the simple React app or if you're using the Poly app, you can just follow along and add auto scaling and load balancing to your application. And so what is auto scaling and what is load balancing? So does anybody know what auto scaling is? Feel free. Nobody.
Auto scaling.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna guess that it would increase maybe from like the tier that we're on to something larger if we need more storage.
It's not storage, but you're onto the right thing, and you're right about half of it. Does somebody else want to finish on the other half? Because you're right, it is about
That's a vertical
On
scaling,
a
right?
load, it auto scales the compute. It adds more resources as far as the ability to compute and manage the workload. Same thing with
That,
load balances. Load balances essentially, I mean, the way it works on most cloud servers is that it kind of routes within the metadata for the request itself. It kind of changes um the endpoint, so it kind of routes it to a different server to basically manage the workload. Like if a
yeah.
certain server is unutilized, it'll route the traffic towards that server um, to basically balance the load in between, balance the workload. Same
Yeah.
thing, same conceptually kind of works the same way with autoscale. The autoscale is basically it spins up more instances or instances of the server itself to manage the workload.
There, you just that's nailing it. So yeah, they're both doing things that are very, very similar, but they do two different distinct things. So auto scaling group, somebody said adds more CPUs and stuff like that. It actually just adds another server. So if you have your application deployed on one instance, and say you're getting high demand or demand goes down, the auto scaling will spin up or spin down, and it can be more VMs, more EC2 instances, it can be pods, it can be lots of different things. But the idea is it adds or removes resources based on your current load. Now,
It's like it's also vertical and horizontal scaling. I think you said
yeah,
either create more instances or create more um V instances of VMs, but also actually spins up actual like physical resources, like more
yeah,
servers.
that is exactly it. It spins up physical, well, cloud, yeah, cloud instances. But yeah, so auto scaling group, the way we're going to see it is you're going to have one instance running your app, and then all of a sudden now you have two, right? Oh, now we have a lot more peak traffic. Now you're up to three. Oh, now it's 3 a.m. in the morning, and then it scales back down to one. But it's just the ability to scale up and down to meet the needs, your web traffic or whatever your server's doing. Where a load balancer, they call them application load balancers. You also hear them called elastic load balancers. It's just distributing the traffic amongst those servers. So you can have these, like, you can have a load balancer and no auto scaling, right? And you can have auto scaling and no load balancer. You can have them both. But the idea of just if it's just a load balancer by itself, you have two applications up serving the two servers up serving the same application, and the load balancer just like it's basically like round robining. It's like, okay, I got a request in, I'm going to route it over here to this server, and the next request is going to go over here, and it's just bouncing them back and forth to distribute the load. Or you could have three servers or four, it doesn't matter. So yeah, that's the concept of this whole rest of this lecture is we showed you the first AM is, if you can think of it, it's how to launch things and then with ECS, how to just have them launched and then just like spin something else up, right? Well, that's ECS doing it all for you. It's actually doing scaling for you. And so if you want to do that on your own, and so you don't want to do ECS, you can mimic that or do the exact same thing with your own managed servers, and then you add auto scaling and load balancing in.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah,
So
of
you
course.
mentioned that you can have them without one without the other. I understand having load balancing without auto scaling. But what would be the benefit of having auto scaling without load balancing? So like, because if you auto scale it to what you need, you still need something to tell it what goes where.
I mean,
Or is that hard coded in?
yeah, I mean, it's you would, I mean, technically you would have a load balancer in there. So, but you could have an auto scaling group without a load balancer. You make a good point. What would be like good proper architecture? Yeah, that would be, interesting to know, but I'm
Okay.
sure, yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, of
I
course.
think
Of
it
course.
depends on the use case, though. I mean, in some instances, you may not need to route traffic to different locations, but in some
Yeah.
other instances, you might. I mean, I think that is a great question, but I think it really just depends. In my opinion, it depends on the use case. Like, what are you trying to do? Like, for an instance, like you need. Uh, I have a website that manages payments, so maybe you needed to auto scale at one point in time to add more instances of resources to manage an increase around Christmas time. Because people are going to be buying a lot more. Or
Hmm.
maybe you need a
But that
load.
still would need a a load balancer though for all of those upscaled instances, right?
I feel like this one is like an opinion thing, you know. I think it just depends on the use case.
Or just
But
does it default to like an even spread?
I have no
Something
idea.
like that. Yeah, it could be like a round robin. But I think you're onto something, Kathleen. It does make more sense if you're gonna have like you'll more likely see something like this, but it's definitely use case. Actually, all this stuff is use case. That's why it's, infrastructure architecture is very like kind of in a sense can be very creative. And somebody can build something that's like never even been seen before. They've got this weird architecture that's never been seen. But for I would say like a rule of thumb, and I could be wrong here, if there's an auto scaling group attached, there's probably a load balancer. But I wouldn't necessarily reverse it. If there's a load balancer, does there have to be auto scaling? But again, I really agree that how do you spell it? Is it Okino?
Yes, sir.
Okino? Okay, cool. I agree with what Okino is saying. It's like this is very much a, who's building it, they're kind of what they want to build, right? And you can build something what's technically wrong and it works perfectly fine. But yeah, those are good questions because you want to ask these questions when you're building your architecture, you're like diagramming it out before you're even building stuff, right? And you're like, where do I need a load balancer? And, where do I need an auto scaling group? Stuff like that. Great questions. All right, so we've got our prereqs and we're just, this should all look very familiar. We've already done all this. I was trying to make this where we could just continue building on what we have. This could be a bit of a show here. We'll see how it goes. But here's your idea. Internet traffic comes in, hits the load balancer. We'll talk about target groups, auto scaling, and then you got your EC2 instances. So the ALB, yeah, I'm not going to read all this stuff. I'm going right back into read mode, but I'm not going to do that. So please read over this. All right, so we're going to create our target groups. And let's see what time it is, 1:30. All right, recording. Okay. I'm going to pull this off to the side. I'm going to work in the AWS console, so please follow along in the lab. I did not get to run through this demo yesterday, so this should be interesting, like I said, but we're going to do it. All right. So we're going through EC2 dashboard and we're looking for target groups. I just type stuff. I try not to search. They have so many, AWS has so many things. Just searching is almost always better. All right, got target groups. I already see somebody's on it. And we're going to target groups. In the left-hand byte, scroll down to load balancing, target groups, create a load target group. Yeah, we're already there, right? Yeah, I actually want to see that. Load balancing target groups. Yes, we are in the right spot. Create a target group and select instances. It's already selected for us. Give it a name, a target group name. Chad's ALB demo. All right, it's already got HTTP and 80 for us. It should have our default VPC already selected for you. Yep. All right. Protocol version and health checks. All right. That's already set. Advanced health checks. Let's see what this says here. Healthy threshold. It's saying 5. We're going to leave the defaults. I know that the README is giving like 2 and 3 and 30-second intervals and 200-second. I'm just going to leave all this as default. All this is it's basically it's pinging a specific path, the root path on the host to see if it's alive or not. So this is how it's checking. The target group is going to check the server to see, hey, are we alive? Are we working? All right, so cool. Yeah, it even gives a little bit of an explanation in there what it's actually doing. All right, so we can click next. Don't register any targets yet. We'll do this automatically with auto scaling groups. So we're actually doing load balancing, target groups, auto scaling all rolled up into one. So this should be really fun. Create target group. So don't select anything here. Just go down and create a target group. All right, you should see these. Yeah, yeah. Okay. And it's saying keep this tab open. And so you can, use it for your next, because I'm gonna be using it later. So I'm actually going to do that. I'm just going to leave my tab open here, go over here, and we're going to go to navigate back to load balancers. So go here to load balancers or just search for load balancers. And we're going to create a load balancer. And we need to catch things that are wrong in the doc so we can update them for the future. Hopefully this is all good. We don't hit too many problems. All right, should be an application load balancer. Yes. All right. Give it the name. Internet facing, it's already defaulting to that. IPv4, it's defaulting to that. It's already defaulting to our VPC. Mapping, so it's saying select at least 2 availability zones. All right, so I'm going to just do 2A and 2B. And so in week 5, we go over Amazon Certified Cloud Practitioner. I think some of you already got it. So some of this should be a little familiar, but we'll go more into and some of this good stuff, like what high availability is and why you have 2 regions and stuff like that. All right, but that's the idea here. We have 2 different zones, 2 different availability zones, because we want to have high availability. All right, so now we need to create a new security group. We don't really need to create new security groups. We could just use old ones, but what's it going to be? Yeah, I'm just going to use my one I already have. Yeah, because it's already got HTTP. All we need is basically you just need a security group. If you create a new one, just make sure it's HTTP and the source is anywhere. All right, so good there. Yeah. So it's basically saying make sure you remove the default security group. So I'm going to remove that. And I've just got my group here. And we all pretty much should have something similar to this. So you don't really need to create a new one again. All right. Listeners and routing. So we don't, yeah, listeners and routing. Okay. So select your target group. Forward to target group, which is this guy here. That's what we want. So you forward, select and even kind of gives you the directions here. It's like select from the drop down. All right, we're not going to mess with weights or anything right now. You just have the name filled in, the availability zones, your security group, and your target group selected. And that's everything. There's all this fun stuff that you can add later. This is good stuff here. All right, just click Create Load Balancer. It'll take a minute. All right. It's still provisioning. We're just waiting for this to change to active. All right. Going to So we're going to be looking for the DNS name, which is right here. So you'll want this like saved in your clipboard. See, it takes a minute to provision this resource. And this is something like this where you guys would be getting permission errors. It'd say in red, you don't have permissions to do this. If anybody gets that, please let me know because I got to add you guys to a group. Still provisioning. All right, and we're going to need ECS next. Oh, hey. I'm going to work over here while that's still provisioning. All right. So just find your auto scaling group and you're going to create an auto scaling group. Yeah. Select the launch template. And then just use the same one that we had before. All right. I think all this will be just as is. If you had multiples, you could select. I only have one. So this is the idea. If you have multiple versions of your template, you could select a different one there. All this looks good. All right. And then the default VPC should be selected. Availability sunset, select all subnets. So select all these. Boom, boom, boom. And click next. Now we need to attach the load balancer. We created yet though. Yes, so it's active now. All right. So attach to existing. So you could go through this process and actually make the load balancer during the process, but I kind of like it like this. There it is. Select yours from the dropdown. I'll skip all this, skip this. Always enabled is what we want. Right here. I believe we do need that. Yeah. So that is what we are going to use for ELB. Yeah. All right. And then click next. All right, now we're going to do this group sizing and scaling. This is where maybe we'll like bring in what the auto scaling group is doing. And this is subjective. So please, yeah, 1 and 2, don't do 6. Do like 4, I don't know. So what this is saying is your desired capacity. This is how many EC2 servers do you want up at all times, right? Like your desired capacity. And so this is going to depend on your use case, right? And that really is important. Like that is a key thing to all of like these kinds of architectures. Like what is your use case? And so you might start with the desired capacity of 2 and it might change depending on traffic. But we'll go with desired capacity of 2. We'll do a minimum of 1 and let's just do like a max of 4. Again, we're not trying to blow up a bunch of resources. All right, so just some, and you can play with this, but it definitely needs to be like this. Make them in and make your desired, right? And it should be higher than, because you wouldn't want to do like minimum of 1 and desired 1. Well, then why do you even have a auto scaling group? You don't need it. All right, so the idea is with auto scaling, you're probably, well, it is. I don't like to go into too much, but here we go. So, yes, like never go below your min. So no scaling. So this allows you to use CloudWatch, but we are going to, I think we're going to leave it as no policy. Automatic scaling, select target tracking scaling policy. Okay, it's saying to select that. All right. Okay, my bad. We are going to select here. Sorry, my fault. And then target tracking policy, scaling policy name. All right. I love just doing everything that's not the same as everything else. All right, so average CPU utilization, target value 50. So we're basically saying we're going to, and you could change this, we will scale based on our target value. And you could change this. This doesn't have to be CPUs. This could be like in and out or a custom CloudWatch metric that you create. What does it actually say we should do? Just average CPU. That's what it's saying we should do. So just go with the defaults. And that's saying basically we'll try to keep this at 50% of the CPU usage. If it goes over 50% CPU usage, it'll spin something else up. All right. Okay, I think we're good there. All this same, we skip. All right, click next. And then we can add tags. I see notifications. I don't see tags. Oh, it's here. All right, skip this. You can add new tags. All right. And next. So now we should at the review phase. All right. And we'll create and we'll see what happens. All right, saying we should now go over to the EC2 dashboard where we have 1,000,000 instances running. This makes it a little bit difficult to figure out because there's so many of us playing. Initializing. I'm guessing these are mine. That's Nick's. That's me. Okay. So 50. All right, and we should have 2 running somewhere. Not me. There we go. There's my other one. So 173. All right. So we've got 2 instances that are now running. And we should be able to go to our load balancer endpoint that we've put over here. Where did I have that at? Yeah. Did I save it? I'm not looking at my demo, but I'm thinking it should be here. Yeah, so there we go. Make sure we're again the same kind of thing. This is not ACS, or I'm sorry, ECS. So this isn't going to be HTTPS. This is HTTP. So again, when you copy and paste that in, this also messed me up for so long. Like I mean, for a long time, guys. I struggled with like this. So I just want to make sure you guys know. Make sure you're just connecting not secure, and it's HTTPS. So just HTTP. Not S. All right, so that is working. And if you notice here, this is not an instance endpoint. This is my application load balancer endpoint. So if I was like, and I could make a CNAME for this, but I could just give this out, like you guys could go to this right now, right? And you could go here into our chat and everybody could start clicking on this thing and opening up different instances. And it's going to, do we have the load balance? Yeah, the load balance is tasked. So it'll be like, it would be sending people to different instances, even though it looks exactly the same. It'd be different servers serving up this front end. So we basically have 2 servers serving exactly the same thing. Do we have a test here? Yeah. So we can go to target group. So now that actually didn't take that wasn't as bad as I thought. We can mess around here and look at target groups. Here's my target group. And it's saying we got one healthy, right? So this is a healthy target group, 2 total targets, nothing unhealthy. We're looking good. This guy's not being used. I wonder what's up with that. But he's up though, right? Yeah, it's running, but it looks like it's not actually being used. All right, and then you can do other kind of fun stuff. So like it's got little tricks and stuff in here that you can do to see if things are working. So already going over 4.2, which is copying your DNS name and pasting that in. Oh yeah, yeah. It's like saying you can go in and SSH into one of these 2 instances and then actually like look at your logs to prove that they're serving traffic. That's something if you want to do, you can bounce into both of them. What else? So then there's the auto healing. All right, so let's kill one of these things and see if it comes back. All right, so they're both running 1 and 2, so I'll kill one.
What would this be like if somebody turns it off by accident, or like what would
We're
a
simulating a
likely,
crash.
yeah, is that like too many people join on it, it would kill it, or what would be, what would
A
cause
lot
it
of
to?
a lot of stuff that I see is developers running way like we've gone into hosts that there's literally 200,000 files open at the same time. And so these servers get abused. And so that's just like a lot of users running a lot of processes.
Okay.
You get like out of memory killer and it'll just shut the host down. If you run out of memory on a disk, that can shut the host down. So this is like
Okay.
catastrophic failure. Yeah. Or the data
Okay.
center. So the whole idea here too is like the high availability is why we did more than one availability zone. This just happened, right? Happened in US East 1 or 2. I don't remember where it happened, but it happened in US East, one of the availability zones. They were doing an update. This happened a few weeks ago, and it brought the internet down for the most part. You could see how much stuff is being used by AWS. But because of that, that whole region just went down. That whole zone went down. And anybody that was just using that zone and not any other zones failed. And there were lots of people not doing that. So that's why you spread it out over more than one availability zone, more than one data center. You can go to different regions. Yeah, that's the idea. All right, did it work though? Get in here quick. I was wanting to get in here fast enough to see it provisioning. All right, I'm guessing it's one of these two. Oh, there we go, initializing. So this is probably it, unless somebody else is doing the same. Yeah, right there. So this is the new instance that's coming up based on that one that we just killed. Because we see Chad 1 is terminated. And sorry, I don't like how I wish I could just default that. And this would be the new Chad 3. So this is the new guy coming up. And if I go ahead and I kill this one, it'll spin up another one. If I kill them both, should spin up 2. Just always trying to get that desired minimum amount of servers. So yeah, this is because what happens if your server goes down in the middle of the night and there's no engineer to turn it on, or there is an engineer to turn it on, but it takes them 5 minutes to wake up and 10 minutes to sign into the VPN and get their computer warmed up and everything going, and then they get the server back up. So this idea is that it's just you're going to always have your application running no matter what, unless all of AWS goes down. Cool. Any questions? That went way smoother than I thought.
Yeah, Chad, if we were to manually create an application, a large application that has this load balancing feature set built in, what tech stack is that? So another way to phrase this is what is Amazon obfuscating for us right now, abstracting for us right now in
The load
terms of,
balancing?
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can create, okay, yeah, all right. So you know Nginx, right, Troy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So Nginx you can create your own load balancer, which I have done that because load balancers cost money, right? So the load balancer It's a great question because that's all AWS is doing, guys. So load balancers have been around forever. I don't know, for a long time, for longer than I've known. And you can create your own load balancer just by spinning up. You could spin up one node. So spin up one server, right? So you spin up a server, and you can get an Nginx configuration on there. And for those that don't know, Nginx, it does a couple things, but it's one of the things it does really well is it just serves up front ends, right? So like this. So like your front end can be served by Nginx. But another really, really cool thing that Nginx does is acts as a reverse proxy, and it acts as a HTTPS termination endpoint. So let me pull up something here. If I can find my old code here. Boom. I had to do this. Expense report. Just trying to find sorry, just bear with me. It'd be easier if I could show this config to you guys than just talking about it. Remembering where anything at though is hard. Think, Chad, think. It's not there. Sorry. Maybe it's not on my OneDrive. All right, hold on. Trying to get you guys an Nginx configuration. If anybody needs to take a quick little break or grab something to drink, just do that and I'll get this up. This will be helpful, especially for your developers out there that want to make your websites look legit.
Hey, Chad, you got it.
Say it again.
Do you have this configuration file on your GitHub?
I do. And let me pause the recording. Thank you for seeing that. I appreciate it. Really do appreciate it.
Okay. One cool thing, only tangentially related, we had the load balancer. I SSH'd into the two instances. One of them shut down because it wasn't being used. So after a certain amount of time, it timed out and said, oh, we don't need this resource. So it right here, system will power off. I didn't prompt that at all.
And that's why when we were looking at mine, it was like one was being used and one wasn't being used because there's just not enough of a load, I'm
Yep.
guessing. Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
I mean, I pinged it twice or 3 times and it's just been sitting since I did it. And so now this one's still running, this instance. This one shut down automatically because it wasn't being used. So
Interesting. Okay.
unrelated.
Yeah, no, that's
So I guess we'll start with actually looking at the app. So this one right here. So if you come in here, we can type in some nonsense, hit generate speech. Sure enough, it generates it. You hit play. You guys can't hear that, right? I didn't share sound. It's nonsense anyway, but I promise it played. I did turn off the database connection because that was a pain trying to get it hooked up. And I was thinking about eventually doing it, but I didn't feel like doing it right now. Let's see. What else do you want to see specifically?
Maybe any problems you had, or if you had any problems. If not, that's all good. I just wanted to know if you had any issues. Did you have to you set up some environment variables, correct, for the front end or no?
For the front end, environment variables.
Or the back end. Was there any env that you had to use, if I remember right? Yes, this is what I wanted to show people. Thank you. So the reason that I didn't demo this guys is because of this, and kind of also the back end the database that Nick is talking about. I just wanted something very clean and simple that had 0 environment variables. And for you folks that don't know what environment variables are, it's this concept. When you're running applications locally, you have variables that live in your environment, literally like live in your shell environment, that when you run commands, your shell has access to those variables. Often they're things like passwords and access keys or endpoints, right? And if for that app to work, the speech to text app or the text to speech app, that's got to go out and talk to AWS. And so you've got to have those access keys in your environment. Well, where's the environment at? It's the EC2 environment. It's no longer your local environment. And you don't want to build those keys into your image because then that goes out to Docker Hub and it's public. If it's public, then your keys are right there in that image, right? And so environment variables are usually sensitive information that is needed to run in the environment that the application is working in. And so that's why I didn't do this, but I'm glad that Nick did, so we can show you guys. These were, these were built. And how did you get these injected into into the environment, Nick? Was that in the script locally? How did you get your environment variables to work? Did that get built into the image?
Yeah, I want to say yes.
Okay.
But here, hold on. So, because I know I never moved them on to the EC2. So does that means they're exposed, right?
Yeah. So go ahead and do
image?
Yeah, so go ahead and do an L. Well, I can see it right now, but just so people can see in the terminal, go ahead and do an ls in the same directory that you built the image in.
That I
Is
built
there a
the
good
image in.
Yeah, right here. This is perfect. So is there a Docker ignore? You have a Docker ignore?
Yes, I do have
Okay.
a
Click.
doc. At least I thought I did.
Yeah, it's up at the top there. It's above your env. So
Oh,
if
there
it's
we go.
there, does it have the env? Okay, so no, it's ignoring it. So now I am trying to figure out. Oh, okay. But it is actually hitting AWS. So I'm curious how the front end is have access to those environment variables. Because when you
You
build
think he hard coded it into his? You think he hard coded it into his script or into his app?
potentially,
Oh, let me see if I remember if I did that. I went
because
over
those
here.
haven't.
And Nick, the reason he's asking this is because these are like secrets, right? So these are the things that you're supposed to give to somebody else. Like you're supposed to physically send this or like send your secrets to somebody else. So you send somebody your PIM key, you send somebody your secrets file, you send somebody your .env file directly, so that way authorized users only can use our apps, right?
Yeah, that the idea is like you don't want them exposed. Yeah, you don't want them built into your image. Because you just need those things to run in your environment. They just need to be available. So I'm trying to think how this would apply.
During the Docker build?
Well, the way that we would inject variables with
Or you would have an env on
on
your
the host.
EC2
Yeah,
instance and it
do you
would
have
reference
one?
them.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have
There's
one?
an
Did it get there?
ls-8. Wait, hold on. Which one is this? This is 172, 251.
Hey Nick, did you push your voice recorder up to GitHub?
No.
Well, it's also in his Docker. It's in a git ignore, so it wouldn't go to his GitHub. And you've got your
Right,
env.
but somehow his AWS
Yeah,
credentials did get into his app.
I am very, very interested in how that happened. Oh, actually, just go into your EC2 and you can echo your environment variables. Yeah, just shell into that bad boy.
108. Hold on, I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, take your time.
This is the one that works, which I believe is this guy right here. Yeah, we've got the back end, we got the front end, we got the database all running here. But right now, this front end isn't using this back end or this database. It's pointing to the EC. What's the other one called? That we did at the end of the exercise?
Yeah.
ECB?
ECS. Yeah.
ECS.
Yeah. So I think what one way we can check this is so if you shell into that, so you're already in that server, right? So those environment variables aren't actually going to be, you can check and see if they're in your Docker instance if you want to. So to do that, it's not your Docker instance, but it's in your EC2, let's see what environment variables you have. You can just do env. That should work. All right. So this is everything that's available as an environment variable. And see how everything is like equals. And I don't see anything about AWS, right? So there are no AWS secrets inside of your EC2, but there has to be inside of the Docker container. So what you're going to do is you're going to shell inside of your Docker container now. And so let me give you, I'll just help you out here. So you're going to always forget this command. All right, so do a Docker PS so we can get the name. And then this is good troubleshooting too for Docker. So is this the name that's going to be, yeah. You can actually do the digits over there. Yeah. Copy that, and then you're going to do a Docker exec space -it, and then paste in your that, yeah, and then a space /bin bin/bash. Try that. Okay, so it isn't the bin bash. Hold on a sec. Do bin sh. So just try sh instead of bash. Yeah, it doesn't have bash. That's why. So now you're inside of your Docker, and then now you should be able to do the same thing like env. Okay, I'm so confused. So maybe in your code then, is there somewhere in the code that it's hard-coded the environment variables?
No, though I do remember at one point on Amazon, I think it was even in the tutorial or the lesson. Pull it up.
I haven't looked hard at this app.
Excuse me. I've been hearing about these environment variables. Just real. I'm just trying to get caught up to speed. What are y'all trying to find?
Hey, Mike. Yeah. So Nick was just kind of demoing his deployment, and then I'm kind of curious. We all got a little bit curious. How are the AWS secrets getting into this Docker container? Because he's got his AWS secrets added to his Docker ignore. So when he built, they didn't get pushed. We checked his environments on the EC2. They're not there. So I'm guessing it's somewhere in the source code, but everybody else has different AWS access keys. So
And he's not using AWS secrets manager?
No, we're not. And I'm not finding where those variables got injected. So it's a little interesting.
Have we done a grep
No, we
at
have
all
not. We
through the
just
system?
we didn't do a grep. We just checked the EC2 environment and we checked the Docker environment.
Okay.
There. So I'm thinking, yeah, I mean, I'm just guessing source code, but I'd have to look at the app. Let me look at the app here.
Okay.
But yeah, a little interesting.
This is what I did right here.
Oh, one sec. Let me get back to your screen.
Okay. Yeah. They're definitely coming from somewhere. If they got into that
Oh, wait. Go
container.
So you just put that in an EMV, right?
No, so it's when I was doing this, when I was
Oh, okay. I didn't see this because I didn't run through this. Oh, awesome. So you can actually get your EMVs this is when you made made your template, your launch template? Is that what I'm looking at?
yes.
Oh,
hold on.
okay.
Hold on. Let me see what step is. Deploy the Flask backend to ECS.
ECS. So that makes sense to ECS. Can you see where you put those environment variables again? I makes sense why it worked for ECS, but I don't know how it worked outside of that.
So is it almost like a bash script he set up that pulled in where he
It's
pulled
interactive on Amazon. As I was going
interactive,
through the little setup. Oops.
But that was not your launch template, correct? Or was it? If that was a launch template, can you just go to your launch template? Is it there? Because if it's inside your launch template, that makes more sense. That makes a ton of
Okay.
sense. That's I was like, how did it get there? So in your launch template, you can add environment variables. That's actually really sweet. Did not know that.
Okay, here. It was in one of these steps.
Let's see. What if
Here's my launch template. All I did was
I think
follow
you had it
the
in ECS.
Yeah, you followed the yeah. Can you go back to the directions? I just want to look real quick.
had
so,
it
so
in
we created a
ECS.
task definition, tells the ECS how to run your Flask container. So
Yeah.
task definitions, create new task definition.
Mhm.
Let's do this.
But the thing is is what you're demoing, is it ECS? This is your demo for ECS. My bad. You did ECS front end and back end demo
No,
deployment.
the front end is on EC2. The backend is on ECS, and there is no database hooked up to it because it was a pain.
And the backend is the only part of the application that's reaching out to AWS, correct?
Yes, because the
There
front
we go.
end
Solved. All
just
right.
sends
Yeah.
request the backend. The backend actually requests
Okay.
Amazon Poly.
Okay. Cool. That's a cool feature of ECS that I did not realize you could do. So ECS does a lot for you. If we didn't have ECS, and if Nick was running this application in his backend, like on a server with no ECS, this would not work. And the reason it wouldn't work is those environment variables weren't there. And the way that you would get them there is you'd have to inject them into the server itself, and they'd have to be available and be ejected into the Docker container. Because the Docker container doesn't necessarily have access to the environment that it's running in. It only has access to the Docker environment. I know that sounds strange, but your server's running an environment. Docker is spun up inside of it in this little container. It's got its own environment inside, and those creds have got to get in there. So that's pretty cool. I didn't realize that you could do that with ECS.
How
Nice.
did you
Okay.
remove the database?
Say that again.
How did Nick remove the database?
How did you remove it?
Yeah.
I did
How'd you
this.
remove it?
In the old code, there was the right here, the wait for database function.
Oh, okay.
And what I did was instead of currently as copy and pasted from the instructions, if it times out after I think it's like 30 tries or something like that, there's like a system exit or something, and so it crashes the server. I just made it to where if it can't do it in a certain number of times, it just sets data available equal to false and returns false. And so and then you have to disable basically disables history, because if you can't have access to the database, then you can't get to the history. So I had to make some adjustments to the code
Oh, okay. Thank you.
with the help of AI.
Scroll up real quick, Nick. So I think I see why it's not connecting. Scroll up a little bit. I'm just looking for your connection string right there. Okay, so all right, so it's looking for your database password as an injection. So it's looking for it in the environment, right? See line 20, and it's got database password in brackets.
So I didn't even try. I didn't even set up a database for it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
when, during the first part of the exercise, before you get to the making the ECS, you have all three Docker containers, the front end, the back end, and the database all in one EC2. That worked just fine.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
when I moved the back end off of the EC2 to the ECS, you would either have to use Amazon's like RDS and set up your database there, or have some other way to hook up to the database. So I just turned it off for the
Yeah.
purposes of I was practicing the ECS and I didn't want to hook up to the
Totally.
database.
Totally. Yeah, that's yeah, when you're Docker, so Docker works on its own internal network.
Mm-hmm.
And so whenever there's two Docker, like you have Docker on this EC2 running and a Docker on this EC2 running, those are different networks. And so yeah, you'll have to do a little bit of Nginx will actually solve that. You can have Nginx proxy to your Docker container.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically, long story short, I would have to change this host, right? So instead
Yep.
of being whatever I have in the environment variable for the host, if I even have
Yeah.
it.
Let's see, where is the host at? What is the
I don't even think I have it. I think I was just
Is there-
defaulting to localhost.
Yeah. Oh, database hosting. Okay, got it. Yep. So it's basically defaulting to localhost. It's exactly what's happening. So we would
Yeah,
just need
and
to
so
get-
I would have to adjust that and point to the actual IPv4 address for the database if it was off of my EC2 instance to make it
What is-
work, right?
Yep. And what's the env? Can you go to the env again? So it's docker_env. All right. So interesting. Okay. It's very strange. It's like they're missing environment variables. But yeah, I mean, this would be a fun one to wire up if you guys wanted to. But yeah, that's all you're looking at. You would just need in here, you would need to be able to point at your database and your creds, right? So you would make sure when you create the database, you create them with the proper creds. But yeah, and this was something that I think that Julius wanted to have happen, but I was like, yeah, we're not going to
A lot of points of failure.
Yeah, exactly. But we will get this working eventually. You guys will be hitting databases and all that good stuff. Yeah, and then like the easiest, yeah. Yeah, this is
What
good.
one point, the pain point I did run into that I remember is because this the backend IP address is hard coded in, uh, and when you stop your instance and it automatically restarts it, it assigns a new IP address to it.
Yep.
And so you have to re-update that every time. And that's where you get into the automatic load balancer. It handles that for you. So you don't have to constantly be going in and updating it. It'll automatically link up and get your new IP addresses and all that.
Yep. Yeah, that I've lost like hours on why isn't this working? It's because I restarted and I lost my IP and it was hard coded somewhere. Hard
Yeah,
coded.
because I was going through that one part of the lesson where it says, "Hey, kill the instance and look, another one will spin up in like 30 seconds to a minute." And sure enough, it spun up, but the app stopped working. It couldn't talk to the back end, and that's just because this IP address has changed. And if you don't have a load balancer set up that accounts for that, then it's going to still try to ping the old address, which is now dead, and it doesn't do anything. So
And you could, yeah. And you could even point things at your load balancer, that DNS entry, right? So that
yep.
could be, yeah. So yeah, there's lots of, cool things you can do. Cool, Nick. Well, if you want to show us anything else, feel free. I appreciate you showing this.
Let me think. Was there anything else cool?
And
I
remind me,
look.
Nick, I know you did the full stack and what is your like passion in tech? What do you like to do? Dev or like just tell me a little because I also feel this is something else I feel terrible, guys. I've not got to connect with all of you. So it's strange to be in week 3 and I do all this talking and I don't feel like I know you guys. So I definitely want to get to know everyone better. So that's on me. So I apologize. Yeah, go ahead, Nick. What do we got here?
I really like programming. It's really
Okay,
fun.
nice.
Um, so this was my personal project, and I just made a workout tracker. Um, and it's just, this is just fake data and stuff. So you got your exercise. I can add new sets. I can add new exercises. And so basically, I guess I like solving problems with code because what I was doing before was writing this all down on pen and paper, and it was a pain in the ass. And I eventually wanted to go back and do some metrics on it, like track how many times I've been going and how much weight I moved and stuff like that. And that's really hard to do with pen and paper because then I got to copy it all over to a spreadsheet, and I'm not about to go through the past, however many workouts I did and actually do that. So it never happened. I was like, hey, if I have it actually on a website, I can just pull all the data.
Very nice.
Um, yeah, and so I just like having fun with stuff like this. It's actually
What
supposed to be mobile.
where is this hosted?
AWS.
Okay, and then so you've got this hitting like a database or S3 or
No, real simple. It's all on one EC2 instance.
got like all Dockerized?
No, I didn't even know Docker when I made this.
Oh,
I'm
okay, cool.
gonna eventually Dockerize it, but I haven't got that far yet.
Yeah,
So this is just, plain full stack deployed to an AWS EC2 instance.
very nice, very nice. Cool. I love it. I love it. Well, yeah, if you're ever interested in things like HTTPS, we can even demo, like we can use your app and just demo making this sucker, secure. Oh, you already HTTPS. Very nice. What did you use for your search?
Certbot.
Or did you use AWS's built-in like
Certbot.
oh certbot? Okay, so yeah, I think that's what I use, certbot.
What did you call it? You called it something else, but I'm
Maybe I
pretty sure
do. No, I use Let's Encrypt, I think.
I think Let's Encrypt is Certbot. I think they're the
Certbot,
same
right?
thing. I
Yes.
could be
Yeah.
wrong.
Okay. I think you're right because they always say certbot, but Let's Encrypt is like, yeah. So I'm a big fan. Um,
Oh no, maybe not.
it's not certbot. Well, it has something in it called certbot or something. I don't know because I thought the same thing. All right, cool. No, I love it. You already got your HTTPS up. Sweet. Yeah, and so like there's a lot of cool things. Like you're right now, like you could hosting things on like S3 is interesting. Getting serverless Lambdas in there. There's so much fun things you can do as a developer in AWS. Um, you can get super. Are you doing speech now? Can we hear it?
You agree with Tia Hey.
Yeah, that
You agree
sounds
with
just
Tia
like
Hey.
that.
I don't know. So I was typing in just nonsense earlier, and I got to say some really funny stuff, which I thought was kind of cool. I mean, it was just literally just me slapping the keyboard. And it's surprising how fast it is too. I didn't think this would be this quick, but
I've
You
got to
agree
move
with Tia Hey. You agree with
all
Webber.
this, all my infrastructure. I'm using a lot of external like OpenAI stuff, APIs, and Mim0, which is another external API that uses OpenAI. And I'm
You
trying to
with
move
Tia Hey. You agree
everything
with Webber.
into AWS so I can start getting a lot faster latency because right now my app is so slow, it's not working. Like one response takes like 20 seconds because I'm doing all these I have like 5 AIs and one user response to back to the response, like user prompts, and then there's a response back to the user. It's chaining through like 5 or 6 LLM endpoints, and it's taking 20 seconds. So I'm doing this full restructure where I'm bringing everything into AWS. I'm gonna start trying to use AWS LLM endpoints and just get everything. I have to get Poly working. But yeah, there's so much to do in this space now, and there's not a lot of necessarily like guidance. Like people can build new things that have never been built before because there's all this like new technology. You can chain together LLM endpoints, function calling endpoints, and have them do some pretty wild stuff. Like real quick example, I did a thing, and this is a long time ago. There's way more power in this space now. I had to get really creative, but I did something very basic where I took one instance of a smarter GPT. I can't remember what it was. This is over 2 years ago. And then I took 3 fast, like they have turbo, right? I think I used like GPT 3.5 and 3 instances of GPT turbo. And all I was doing was using one instance to go out and hit a PDF endpoint that has like 200 pages. And I had a counter going. It's like, how many pages are there? There's 200 pages. So the counter started at 1. And that first counter, it would go out and grab page 1. And there was a prompt to take that page, grab it, and then turn around and hand it off to these other GPTs. And the other GPTs made questions out of the page. So I took like this 200 and some page, it was a regulation document for state regulations for schools, for nonprofit or for profit schools. They have to follow all these rules to get money, right? And so I needed to create a document that took this big document and created questions out of it. So people can be like, well, what is this? Instead of having to go through the document and try to find like the answer to something, I had the LLMs turn the entire document into a question and answer lookup table. And just by doing one thing,
Like an FAQ?
yeah, it was a lot like a fax. Yeah, it was just saying because the idea what it was
Does it
going to
sound,
end up.
I
Go
mean,
ahead.
does it sound more like, does your organization do this? Check, you're good. Does your organization do this? Check, you're good. Is it kind of like those questions?
No, this was sort of like that. Yeah, like what is the requirement for, what is the requirement for faculty instructors when it comes to like having like education, right? So it's just specific things that just all revolve around the education sector, and they have all these regulations. And I just needed to create something that was able to take that big huge document and make it very much like a lookup table where a person could ask a question, and I made the lookup table with it. You typed in a question, and I had a fuzzy match. So if it was even close, it's like a Google search actually. And then if that question was in the lookup table, it'd pull the question and the answer. The point is like that's really cool, but the point is like you can take LLMs and do insane like document manipulation and creation if you just start thinking about not using one bot, but use more than one bot and have each bot have its own rules and purpose, and then you chain them together. And I think that there's so many permutations, and this is still so new that there's stuff out there that you could create just by just getting out there and creating. It's like, what can you think of? What can you imagine almost? And you can do it just a ton.
Chad, what were you using then? So model context
It's not a beer, by the way.
protocol.
It's milk tea, just in case people are wondering, damn, he's drinking. Sorry, Troy, go ahead.
Did you create a model context protocol server, MCP server, or did you do RAG for your doc upload?
Yeah, it was more like it was like before RAG. There was no MCP. It was like really before RAG, and that's what I'm doing now. Is a lot of like RAG like stuff. And it was a lot like that. It was like go get this. So I had one bot. The sole purpose was because I didn't want to go out and copy 200 pages of this document, right? But it was really good at programmatically just page 1 go copy, page 2 go copy, right? And it just did that. It went and copied a page. It turned around and it handed that to the other GPTs whose whole purpose was scan this page and make questions out of it. And it was actually really good. There's one little hitch. because what happens at the end of a page, right? And at the beginning of the next page, there's some overlap there. So this wasn't perfect. It was more like a proof of concept, but it did take the 200 pages and made like 400 questions out of it.
So
So
on your model, was that a service or a tool?
this was all service. There was no really tooling. It was just getting a prompt and information and doing something with it. Yeah, just responding.
Awesome.
I did have it. I had it doing something like a tool where you can have them. I can have LLMs respond as an object, which is interesting. You can make it respond in an object, and then you can use that object in your API. So it can return an object, right? Now, if you have something returned an object, well, then you can feed that object into your API. And so I've been doing a lot, like there's MCP and there's RAG and there's LangChain. We're going to go into all of that in depth. But I've been kind of like, I'm going to be learning a lot of that with you guys because I've just been doing like homebrew. Like I'm just doing my own MCP. I'm doing my own LangChain because none of that existed. So I was just in there like tinkering in the lab trying to figure out how to do this stuff. And then I came across tools, right? Tool calling, function calling. And that's when I was like, oh, wow, I can make these things CRUD my database. That's pretty cool. Then it's like, oh, well, I can have one LLM take user information, parse that, return that as an object, turn that around to a function caller whose sole purpose is just, take that information and turn around and I have it crudding to a database. And then you can have that, hit a database, kick out information to a response LM that's like, that's just there to like respond appropriately to the user. So the idea is, I think, don't think about like, oh, I need to use one LLM. User says something, I send it to the LLM, and maybe I inject some stuff from a database and I get a response. Start thinking about that LLM maybe is at the end of your chain, right? User sends out some information. They're going to get a response back, right? So at the very end of that chain, that's your LLM that you want to have all the context of all the context of the conversation, maybe other sessions, and you want them responding intelligently to the user. But in the beginning of the chain, you're going to have LLMs that maybe are never to respond to the user. They're supposed to respond to internally to your logic. It's getting creative. Thinking about LLMs and not, I mean, we're going to get into MCP, all that stuff. But I think you can do a lot of it just like homebrew in your own, like just pen and paper. Sorry, Troy. Ask more questions. Get me back on track here. I know you're searching for something here.
Of course, I think we're far off track for today's curriculum. No, just kidding.
No, I think a lot of people are here for this. Like, I think a lot of the reason the people are here is for the AI stuff. And that's why we have all these machine learners.
Did you do any validation, right? So performance monitoring of your LLMs so I understand when vectoring and getting accurate results back, that hallucinations and the quality can vary from every time that you run it, depending on the circumstances. So have you looked at any of the performance metrics related to your LLMs that you've been tooling with?
It's interesting because the guy that I'm working for, he actually did hire testers for the early phases and had like some qualitative testing, and then I had a little bit of quantitative, but I've really had to do the quantitative stuff because this is what happened. I hit this engineering restraint. So I basically, in a nutshell, I built a thing. The idea is, I can kind of go into the concept. I can give the concept, but I just can't go into the details. What I'm building is a problem gambling coach app. The idea, and then if you think about that, you're like, oh yeah, everybody's gambling everywhere, right? Everybody's gambling on their phone, DraftKings and Sports Kings and Fantasy Kings and blah, blah, blah. So everybody's gambling on their phone. And this wasn't my idea. This was his idea. He's like, I want to build this gambling app. And he's built a lot of financials apps and firms and sold them and made gobs of money. And and then he's like, I want to build this. So I'm like, okay, I started building it, and I built version 1 and it worked great. Because what he did is he went and he hired a PhD psychiatrist to basically create all of these lessons. So this application, the way it functions is there's lots of guided lessons, right? Like there's like 12 guided lessons. And so I've got like the basic intro lesson works great, right? You feed it the information, you do some RAG, some memory injection. It works pretty good. But can it go backwards? Does it track what's happening? Not really. Like it can track in memory, but it gets confused, right? And then trying to go backwards in a lesson, it forget about it, right? And it gets lost in the middle of the lesson. So it's like a 30-minute lesson, it'll be, infinite because it just doesn't know how to end. And so so I was like, okay, well, I got version 1 working. I'm like, well, how am I going to do this? Because he said I need it to go backwards. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So he's like, I need to be able to go backwards and forwards. And I'm like, okay. And I mean, that's a huge, huge problem if you think about it. And so I started thinking, all right, well, I've got to find a way to take these big, very dense, doctor-written lessons and break them up. Because what we were doing originally is just feeding the whole lesson to them. And again, it would work to a point, but it just gets lost. And it's like, I got to find a way to break those up into chunks. And then I got to find a way to track those. And then I got to find a way to flag where we are now. And then when the user says they want to go back, I got to flag like we were going into the past, right? So I'm like, I've got that figured out. I got flags. But then how do you make all these changes? You got to use some sort of function calling. LLMs can't do a damn thing other than the normal LLMs that we're used to, unless they're function callers. They can only just send text. They're not pushing buttons for you, right? That's the tool callers. And so, yeah, I got into this problem where I'm like, okay, well, I've got to break the lessons up and I've got to find some way to do function calling. And I'm using the database as my like timekeeper. Like the database tracks, like I broke everything up into steps. And so the database tracks progression through steps. And the user says something, right? We're trying to extract information from them. They hit criteria. We check something off. We go to the next step. That we don't get all their criteria, then we just circle back and we kind of repeat the question to the user until they hit their criteria. We mark off all our steps and we progress through the lesson. So that all was working. I got my prototype, like the one thing that I was like, oh, this could work. I basically did a test. It's an assessment. The user takes an assessment, right? Yes and no questions, 15 questions, but there's branching. If they answer yes to 2, then there's a 2B, right? If they answer yes to 2B, there might be a 2C. So there's this branching logic. So I got it to where basically this is what happened. The users kicks off, like they open this specific lesson, which is an assessment. It'll ask them the first question. They answer yes or no, and that gets sent to my function caller. My function caller doesn't respond to the user. It just says, okay, because you're giving little blueprints. I don't know if you guys have played with function callers, but you basically provide rules and you provide a blueprint of what the object looks like that they need to respond, right? So the rule was take what the user says and go across all slang and all languages. I thought that was the cool part, right? You can say yes or no in any language, and then it will determine yes or no. And if it's ambiguous, it'll ask the question again. But if it is a yes or a no, it calls a function and it's either yes or no, right? And then that ends up CRUDing through my API. The GPT's out of the picture right now. Logic then takes that yes or no and CRUDs a true or false to the database. If it was a maybe, it CRUDs a null response for that specific question or chunk. I call them steps, right? Chunk steps. And then it'll ask the question again. So there's 3 possibilities, yes, no, or ambiguous, and it asks it again. And so it literally does through the function calling and then your Python logic, it CRUDs to the database. And you can go through the entire assessment and get through all the questions. And how does it know how does it know where you're at? Well, every time it asks a question, it's checking the database first, not the LLM. The logic is it's looking at the database saying, oh, we've got 1 through 5, it's been filled in. So we're on question 6. So it asks question 6. True, false? Okay, false. Now we're on to 7. Maybe they didn't answer. So then you ask it again. So that's the idea of function calling, is using, yeah. Is that?
Well, I just wanted to say thanks for breaking down your app logic alongside of where you're threading in the LLM. So I appreciate you theoretically walking us through.
Yeah, it's even gotten more complicated. I've got an LLM at the front that doesn't respond to the user, that's strictly just parsing what the user says into like what if the user says yes or no, right? So I came into this problem like, so we're beyond the question answer. That's very, very easy, by the way. Well, not very easy, but that is an easier ask when it's a true or false or a maybe. There's only 3, right? But then what happens when the lesson's more open-ended and it's just like, let's talk about managing your gambling urges. And then it's this 30-minute, very dense, doctor-written lesson about things that they want to ask the user to elicit these response, right? And then this back and forth. How do you do that? It's not a yes or no. So what happens when the users, like we pose a question and then it goes around and the user just says no or yes. Well, if the first LLM that's parsing information doesn't have context from the previous conversation and injects that, when it goes to the function caller, which is kind of stupid, it's just not going to do anything. It's not going to know what yes or no means. Yes or no means in comparison to what. So I've got like one LLM that's kind of like massaging and getting things looking correctly, passing on to this function caller that then creds something to the database. The database then triggers the response LLM, gives it all its information. So it's just like circle, you know. But that's just one way to do this. Again, you guys can, if you got an, you know, you got instances now where you can get on the EC2s. You just have to pay for an OpenAI key, and you could start playing around with this stuff on your own. Yeah, yeah. Anyways, I'm not gonna have you guys. We're not gonna do a stand down. Like I'm gonna let you guys go early. So if anybody wants to go right now, you definitely can go. I know it's earlier than what we were supposed to get done at. Is it 4:30 or 3:30 Central? I know we
Calendar says 5.
So we go 8 to 4 Central. Okay. So we used to do 8:30 to 4:30 Central. So sorry about that this morning. So it'll be 8 to 4. So I'll be letting you guys out like an hour and 15 minutes early. Yeah. Obviously I'm gonna stay and help anybody that needs help. And I wanted to give you guys a little bit of like those that might be feeling behind. I wanted to give you guys a little bit of time to work on stuff.
So were we gonna do the end of the week form? I think Cam, you were gonna maybe lead that this week.
Yeah, I was confused by that. So I thought Eric had said weekly, right? But then on the calendar, on our Google Calendar, I think it's bi-weekly.
Ah, okay.
I'm gonna turn my camera off while I eat some sushi, but I'm still here.
Yeah, I thought it was weekly too, but if we're seeing bi-weekly, it's good enough for us. Let's just push on today.
Fire trucks are going by. All right. Well, you know, I could have stopped the recording a minute ago.